This week in games, let's talk about that PlayStation State of Play. Embracer CEO is just rife with greed, and Take-Two is saying AI won't replace jobs. Seems likely. This is the Two Penny Gamescast. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 202. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Hi, guys. How you doing? My name is Connor Elliott. I am the co-host of the Two Penny Gamescast. Nice to meet you.
We had a fucking conversation about it right before this happened. You gave it to the one, but it's the wide. We had a conversation. Before we hit record, we had a conversation.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did!
Not this today.
Oh, my fucking God. Anyways, ladies and
Why?
gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. This is, of course, your Two Penny Games cast. Each week, me and Connor come to you with the nerdy news you need to know concerning the video game industry. We each come to you with two topics, two pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. Connor, how's your week been, friend?
It's been very good. I'm no longer as busy at work, and now I get to play more games, get to relax a little bit more, just have a good time.
Excellent. That's what I like to hear. Connor, as you know, I went and I adopted a dog.
Yes.
We got a dog in the apartment now.
You bought a dog.
All right. Well, you know, tomato. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, I went out. I got a dog, lovely pit bull terrier mix. Her name is Ahsoka. She's a puppy, 3 months old.
What is that based off of?
I know. Who knows? Anyways, so if at any point we've had her out and about for recordings all day. Of course, you can catch us recording all of our podcasts live Monday, sometime in the afternoon, you know, whenever we can. Twitch.tv/2pennygames. So make sure you cue in for that. Follow us, twitch.tv/2pennygames. To watch it. Phil in the chat says shout out to Snips. Now I'm not gonna call her Snips. She's Ahsoka. That's what her name is. What we're gonna call it. It's Ahsoka, not Snips. You know. Anyways, so she's been out and around. She's been lovely pretty much this whole time. But right at the end of the recording of the piggy bank, she was very clearly telling us that she had to go outside, and she's not fully potty trained yet. She is. What, maybe 50% of the way there, you know, it's that the last 50 is the important part, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She knows not to go potty in the apartment. She doesn't quite know how to tell us, but she's getting there. And she very clearly told us that she had to go, you know? She was very clear telling us, hey, I gotta go, you know? She could have been more clear. But we both picked up on it. She got up, she was laying in her bed, which is right under here. She was laying there. She got up. She looked at us. She looked at you. You know, and we both recognized what was going on. I saw it in your eyes. You know, we saw it. She had to go, and then she went into your room and peed because we didn't go immediately. We didn't take care of her right away. So that's on us. She peed. It's on us. That one's on us. The rest of the time, she's just been, you know, peeing in the house for no reason. Today was on us. It is what it is. So right now she's in her crate. If you hear some crying and some whining, it's because she's in her crate and she wants to be with the people. But she's not in the crate for a punishment. She knows that. She's safe in the crate. Okay. I just feel like she needs to poop. And she's not going to poop in the crate, but she may poop in the next, 30 minutes while we're talking about video games. But, of course, ladies and gentlemen, that is why you're here, to hear us talk about video games. So we got to get right on into it. Our first topic of the day, my first penny of the day. There you go. Good boy. Good boy. Ladies and gentlemen, there was a PlayStation State of Play that happened this week. And we have a reaction to it live on the channel right now. I was not a part of that reaction. It was Connor and Phil headlining that reaction, watching the State of Play. And I was busy at work while it was going on, so I didn't have the chance to do it. There is a Summer Games Fest happening this next week, and there will be a reaction to that. Hopefully, I should be able to be a part of that reaction stream, but we're going to have to look at dates and times and stuff. But I'm pretty sure it happens before I go to work. So we should be able to do that one, no problem. and I'll be a part of that one. So I'm very excited to see what Jeff Keighley has for us at the State of Play. I'm very excited to see the Xbox showcase that's happening later this week as well, which I do believe I should be there for that reaction as well. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure you like, subscribe. Oh, drop a comment down below about any of the gaming news we missed, or maybe just some evergreen topics that we could talk about. I do, of course, want the audience 2 pennies to be incorporated in this show. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. Now, Connor, you watched the State of Play live.
Yeah.
Your reaction is live on the channel already. But for the people at home who maybe didn't get to watch that, what did you think about the State of Play?
I thought it was good. I liked a lot of the games that were there. It was a nice short showcase. I'm saying all of this again. I was probably better on it than most people were.
You're higher on it than me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was fine. This was middle of the road, exactly what it needed to be and nothing else. Like this is what I would call a State of Play trademark, you know? I think Concord went on too long. I think a lot of the games that were showed weren't super interesting, but could be applied for some people. There were some necessary updates that had to be updated on, like God of War Ragnarok coming to PC. And then, of course, it ended with the banger that is Astrobot. Astrobot, I think, looks fantastic, and I'm very excited to talk about it here. We're about to get into each of the trailers shown at State of Play. Shout out. How do you even fucking say that? Abo Saeed 10. Hey there. Hey, Abo Saeed. Thank you for dropping into our live stream right there. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can watch us live, twitch.tv/2pennygames every Monday afternoon, where we record all of our podcasts live. But, Connor, let's go ahead and get into the breakdown of the State of Play. Let's talk about Concord. This is their big opener. This is from Kate. It's easy. Okay, shout out.
Here we go.
Shout out to you in the chat there. This is from Firewalk Studios. This is one of their new studios that they've developed. Concord, 5v5 multiplayer live service game, first one to come out. Had a real Guardians of the Galaxy vibe to it. Very much like a James Gunn / MCU vibe of dialogue and stuff. They're saying they're going to have fresh cinematics telling a story week after week. They're going to have new cinematics to watch as soon as you load up the game. And then it's a 5v5 arena shooter. Connor, what did you think about it? Let's start with the cinematic trailer they showed.
Yeah.
And then we'll move into gameplay. So what did you think of the cinematic trailer they showed?
It was fun and quirky enough. My interest for it didn't really come in until I saw the gameplay.
Yeah.
And it looked nice. But hey, you know, it was a fun cinematic trailer. It's just with these kinds of trailers, I feel like cinematic trailers work best if it's working off an already existing IP. That gives the best opportunities to generate hype. And from not only, even a studio, you can kind of, you know, build it off of that. Like From Software, when Elden Ring trailer dropped all the way back then, people were crazy about it.
Yeah.
This one, it's a new studio, new game, and this is the game that, you know, had the weakest reception. You know, there's
Indeed.
yeah.
Some of these VR titles,
Oh, really? That
you know, they're looking, you know, real VR-y.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a 5v5 hero shooter. A lot of people are kind of dour on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think such gameplay right now or solely
We'll wait for that. We'll wait for that. Let's
get
get to the cinema.
Fun cinematic trailer. You watch it once and you don't want to watch it again.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's my thing about it is, yes, this is a well-made cinematic trailer. I think the characters in it are charismatic and fun, and I would like to know more about them. However, this is for a multiplayer video game. We already knew it was for a multiplayer video game. So, like, just innately, I don't care. Like, that's not why I'm entertaining this game. I'm sorry. If you're a multiplayer-only game, I don't care about your story and lore. Not every game can be Overwatch. And that's just the fact about it. I think this is a really well-made trailer. I think it's really entertaining to watch. I have no intention of watching it ever again. Undeniably, when it's the first cinematic we see when we load up Concord on launch day, I'm gonna skip it because I'm gonna be like, I saw this already. I don't care. I like the design of the world. I like the cinematics of the world. If this was a single-player narrative-based game, I would be interested in it. This would help sell Concord as an IP to me, but because it's a multiplayer game, this does nothing for me. And you know, it is a 4-minute and 48-second trailer. I'm sorry, that's not selling me on your game. I really did think Concord overstayed its welcome in this State of Play. We could have cut that in half and been way more impactful on it. As of right now, from a narrative perspective, I have no interest in Concord. Like, I just don't care because I know what this game is. Now, let's move into the gameplay that was shown off for Concord, the first-person 5v5 arena shooter based. I was not impressed with what they showed here. However, I'll say this was a good gameplay trailer. The game looks quality. It doesn't look like they're doing anything wrong. All the things they're doing here look good. It looks very Destiny, Crucible PvP.
Yep.
In its execution, and I think that's interesting.
Even its design.
Yeah,
is kind of indicative of that.
Yeah, right. And how the gunplay looks and how it looks like it's going to feel. It does look very interesting. I would like a hero shooter with the gunplay of Destiny. I think that sounds good and entertaining to me. This is a trailer in which I feel like they are doing objectively nothing wrong, but they don't have the sauce. Is my feeling about it. They don't have anything interesting here. There's nothing about this trailer that makes me go, oh, well, let me go pre-order Concord and play that day one. And this is my other thing about it. You are a multiplayer 5v5 hero arena shooter. You're gonna have a beta, which is cool, and you are giving beta keys to anybody who pre-orders the game so they can get their friends in on it, which is the right move. But is this game worth $70? Don't know. I don't know. We've seen a lot of these games as service games come and go very, very fast. And it already feels like this one is dead on arrival, which I don't think is fair because the game does look quality. It does look good. It looks fun. It looks like it's going to be a fun time to play. I don't know if it's going to be a long-lasting game. I don't see myself playing this longer than 2 weeks. I don't see myself after the first week or two of playing this game having the itch to go back to it like I'm having the itch to go back to Helldivers 2, you know?
It really all hinges on gunplay.
100%.
Because the thing I was watching...
And just general game design.
Yes. The abilities these characters seem fun. Comparing this... Well, I'll compare it with Marvel Rivals when we start covering that one.
Yeah.
But really, it seems like the gunplay itself seems tight. You were mentioning Destiny. Destiny has some of the best first-person gunplay out there right now. Really, this game hinges, and you see it in the response as well, on the fact that it's a 5v5 hero shooter. You know, at one point in time, this would have, gotten everyone's eyes on it. It really would have poked out, even among other 5v5 shooters.
If this had come out 2 years after Overwatch, it would have been something. It would have been 2 or 3 years. It would have been something. We are nearing a decade after Overwatch, and the industry has moved on from this. Player interest has moved on from this. This game, I think, is going to be a game out of time. And again, it looks good. It looks fun to play. I would like to give it a chance, but I don't know if I'm going to be into it day one. This is a bit of a wait and see for me. I don't feel like watching this trailer, watching this gameplay trailer, I don't feel like anybody is rushing out to go pay $70 for this game. This game needs to be at a discount price, or it needs to be free to play, or you need to include it in PlayStation Plus or something, alongside a day one PC launch with crossplay.
This cannot be single platform.
It can't be. No. It is doomed to fail if you let it be PlayStation 5 only. It needs to come on both. And I think they have said it's coming to both, which is the way because they did have like a sort of like a what do you call it? Like a finance call with your stockholders, whatever that's called. They had one of those this last week where they said, "Hey, yeah, our very Crucible cross Overwatch they were very clear. Hey, our multiplayer games are going to be PC and PlayStation 5 same day. Our single player titles, we are going to pick and choose which titles go at the same time to advertise for the PlayStation 5. I think that's a smart move for PlayStation as a platform and where PlayStation currently is sitting in the landscape of the industry right now. I hope this works. Yeah, and it says Steam, Epic Games Store, PS5 for first day launch. I hope this works. Pre-orders go available June 6th. That is when Summer Games Fest happens. So expect to see more Summer Games Fest. They have a release date Where is it?
August
25th.
They might.
I think it was in the cinematic trailer.
It should have been.
Let me get there in the cinematics.
A particular reason: June pre-order starting June 6th.
Pre-order starting June 6, 2024. But
they said it in the showcase, I guess. Like when they were introducing it, they probably said.
There's an official date somewhere. I can't believe they wouldn't put it. Yeah, just Google it for me real quick, Connor, if you don't mind. Or if someone in the chat has it for me. No way it lasts more than 6 weeks only on PlayStation. Yeah. And that's why they're going multi-platform for it. And I think that's a great choice right there.
August 23rd.
August 23rd.
Yeah.
As of right now, that's a good date for it. It's pretty open. Summertime. Kids are going to be out of school. Good chance to get them hooked on it and playing together and so forth. Yeah, again, this game is not hopeless, but
it's fighting an uphill battle.
It's fighting an uphill battle, and the PlayStation audience has spoken. They are not interested in games as service, which is unfortunate because, again, I think the game does look good. Mm-hmm. Moving on, God of War Ragnarok announced for PC. Awesome. Sounds great.
Valhalla DLC.
Valhalla DLC included. All of that's fantastic. God of War 18 already on PC. I think that's great. Coming September 19th, 2024. This state of play was good in terms of like filling out the rest of the calendar. What can we expect from PlayStation for the rest of the year? And I think they did a good job of doing that. God of War Ragnarok coming to PC. Great choice. Yeah. Ultra wide support, all the bells and whistles. I think this one's going to bang. You know, the PlayStation / PC support has been a bit of a mixed bag. Some titles have been great. Some titles not so much. You know, you think about how the Horizon games have had great launches. Last of Us Part 1, not so great of a launch. I think God of War Ragnarok is going to have a great launch. God of War 2018 had a great launch. So yeah, I'm expecting this one to work. I think The Last of Us Part 1 was a bit more of a fluke than it was the standard here. And I think they fixed it fairly quickly, but I could be wrong about that. Let me know down in the comments if they fixed The Last of Us Part 1 on PC. Are you interested at all at a port to God of War Ragnarok PC?
Not in the slightest. I just need to play Valhalla at some point.
You willing to spend another $70 to play Valhalla on PC?
No.
Oh. Well,
I got the game on PS5, Tavin.
Listen, I think the game is beautiful. The game is wonderful. It's gonna sing on PC. And yeah, I think it'll live on PC fantastically. The game is fantastic. Go play it if you haven't played it. This is a great way for PlayStation to get some more bang for their buck. Moving on, Dynasty Warriors Origins announcement trailer. Hey man, it looks like a Dynasty Warriors game, but it's pretty.
Sick as fuck. I'm so happy.
It is sick as fuck. Are you really? Are you a Dynasty Warriors guy?
Oh, yeah. I played it back in the day on the PS2. I had two. I feel like I had two titles. If not, I definitely had one, and I sunk hours and hours into that game. You know, even if I didn't win the battles, which when I first started playing that game, I didn't. I just mowed through people, and it was fun as a kid. But it's also like a fun multiplayer game. You know, you can have other players in it. Yeah, one of the ones do.
This game's got co-op?
Yeah. Oh. One of them does. I mean, I don't know. This one does.
Well, all right. We'll put an asterisk next to that because we don't know and we're not reading press releases like we should. But this game looks fine. It looks like a Dynasty Warriors game. It looks sick as hell. Phil in the chat yelling out, "Hell yeah!" I think this game. Oh goddamn, that was sick as fuck. We have the trailer playing on the video version of this podcast. If you're not listening on mainstream podcast services, which we are also on.
See, the thing about this is it's coming into a modern era. Yeah. It's been away for a long, long time.
Has it though?
Yeah.
Hyrule Warriors. What's the other one?
All of that's
Fire Emblem Warriors.
All of that's tried to copy Dynasty Warriors. Dynasty Warriors was the base model.
But that's the studio, right? They just were using other IPs, right?
I have no clue.
Persona 5 Strikers was more of a like, hey, we're going for that. Mm-hmm. You know, that was a different studio. But the Hyrule and the Fire Emblem, excuse me, I believe was at least under the same umbrella of studios and so forth. Omega Force is developing Dynasty Warriors.
Developed Omega Force and Team Ninja. Yeah. But this seems to have it's more unique style.
Yeah.
I
think this is probably a good entry point for new players to kind of jump in on this. And this is a good trailer. Yeah. I think this game is going to speak to who it needs to speak to. I'm not necessarily against it, but this is definitely if I have nothing else going on, sure, I'll try it out type game. But I almost always have something else going on. So like I just don't see how it would work for me, but I can see it working for you. I definitely can see this game. Like I've always thought the Dynasty Warrior games like are such Phil games, Phil of the piggy bank, and you'll see him at the end of this episode when we review Metal Gear Solid for the Two Penny Game Club. That's right, our monthly video game book club is back. Attached to the end of this episode, or just go check youtube.com/@2pennygames. It's got a breakout review for it right now. You can go see it at this moment. But yeah, Dynasty Warriors Origins, I think it looks good. I think it looks like a Dynasty Warriors game. I'm excited for Dynasty Warrior fans. I'm excited for new fans of it. And if it's not a hard no for me, but it's a probably not going to get around to it type game.
Unless it has the big reviews saying how amazing it is.
We'll see. Infinity Nikki gameplay trailer. This is what this is the fucking
yes.
What's that game? You played it a little bit.
Genshin Impact.
Genshin Impact. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, this is that Genshin Impact type game. This did absolutely nothing for me.
Oh, me and Phil were alive. Like not for us.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, cool for those who want to get it. This is very much one of them Genshin Impact type games. It's got a bunch of pretty girls in pretty dresses. And you get to play it. Infinity Nikki test in Q3 2024
with lamer looking combat.
Yeah,
did it have combat?
I don't think this wasn't a good. Well, it says a gameplay trailer.
Yeah,
and you're casting spells and you're dodging shit. I don't know, man. If it check it out. If it interests you, it interests you. But yeah, this is very much a mid to low tier quality video game. IMO.
Mm-hmm.
Ballad of Antara. I don't remember this one.
Yes, it was pretty interesting. It, kind of came out and I was like, eh.
Oh, this was that Souls-like looking game, but it's going to be like an open world. Ballad of Antara is an upcoming fantasy action RPG from Tips Works Studio in Indie Infold Games, releasing in 2025 on PlayStation 5. This game looks beautiful. It looks really stylistic, and I enjoy that, but this state of play to me was filled with games that all right, that looks kind of cool if nothing else is going on, but I know better at this point. Something else is going to be going on.
But maybe something not better than this. I mean, the interesting thing that I was seeing is that there's some, you seem to have a main character, but then you were also playing as other characters that had different builds and gameplay styles. So I'm curious to see right there. So I'm curious as to what direction they're going in. And I don't know. This seems like it has potential for good gameplay and good boss fights.
Yeah.
Which, hey, I'm
it's
down
open
with that.
world though.
That's fine.
All right, we'll see. Open worlds are tricky. But yeah, I like the presentation. I like the style of it a lot. It does look very Soulsy and but a little more stylistic than a Souls maybe. And or at least it leans on its style more than Souls games do. But yeah, it looks fine to me. It looks good, quality. It'll be fun. It's very much sitting in that Stellar Blade: Rise of the Ronin type level for me. Maybe a bit more high quality than that, but you're not getting nothing crazy impactful from.
Well, see, Tavin, you were high up on Stellar Blade.
I've learned my lessons.
And Rise of the Ronin,
right? But remember the last time they showed Stellar Blade, I was like, that's a bad trailer. And then it turned out to be more reflective of what the game was than from the original trailers that we saw.
So I'm going to be the anti-you.
Yeah.
Say it's going to be very good.
All right, maybe.
I'll be right.
Skydance's Behemoth. This is a VR title coming to PlayStation VR 2. Let me see if I can find a date here. I can't. Anyways.
Later this year.
This looked like a PlayStation VR 2 title, man. It looked like there's 1,000 titles just like this, man. Let's swing a sword. Let's swing an axe. All right, cool, neat. But is this worth playing? I don't know.
I think as far as VR titles go, which we don't have VRs, I think it has more potential than most. First of all, it's made by the Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, which I've heard was a good VR game.
Yeah.
As far as the VRs have gone, one of the better ones.
This was also the game with the cringy-ass dialogue in it, right? Of my blood thirsts for chaos or something like that.
This game?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, they said something like that in this one. I'm pretty sure it was this one where they said something like that. Yeah.
I could believe that.
Yeah, it had real cringy dialogue in it.
But it looks like really the thing that I think can make this game shine is how the combat against the giant monsters go.
Yeah.
And how varied they are.
Don't be wrong. This looks quality.
Mhm.
It looks like, they know what they're doing with this. I don't know if VR. I just don't know if VR has the juice, man. I think we've just kind of explored all we can with it. Nobody seems to be getting really creative with it, and maybe that's just because the sales aren't there. Oh, man, he cut that dude's fucking face in half. That's crazy. It's cool. They're doing a lot of cool things where they're like flipping swords and catching arrows and stuff. Available fall 2024. We'll see. They're definitely like. Doesn't look bad by any means. I just don't know how great it actually looks. You know what I'm saying? So
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. But we're going to move on about as fast as the VR segment of the PlayStation State of Play. Let's just take a second to say, all right, PSVR 2 pretty dead in the water, right?
There was a new story. Apparently this was announced earlier, but they're giving an adapter for PCs for the PSVR 2.
Connor, we've covered that story on this show. You've made a TikTok out of that story.
The adapter for the PSVR 2?
Yes.
No.
Yes. PSVR 2 coming to PC. You made a video.
It could give it... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Anyways.
That could make it survive. Probably
Alien
not.
Rogue Incursion. No, I 100% think that's just so that they can sell the units they already have. I don't think they're looking to keep this platform alive very long. Alien Rogue Incursion. It says it's the first gameplay. They didn't really show too much about it. You got the little scanner and stuff. It's in the alien world. It's said to come out this year.
It
Listen,
created
maybe
the alien
it's
atmosphere.
cool. Maybe it's cool. Maybe it's great. I've seen 100 trailers like this in my time. Usually trailers that are this heavily edited and show so little gameplay in them, usually not great. A lot of splash cuts, a lot of cutting back and forth, and so the trailer comes and goes as quick as it comes into the. It leaves as quickly as it comes. Holiday 2024. I don't think that it's not going to be that's not going to be one to buy a PlayStation VR 2 for.
Probably not.
Marvel Rivals had a PlayStation closed beta announced trailer. This is the first time that they've announced Marvel Rivals for the PlayStation 5. First time that they're telling us that there's going to be a beta for the PlayStation 5 version. Announced Venom is going to be a part of the game. Very exciting stuff. Man, Marvel Rivals to me continues to look like the sequel to Overwatch we should have had. And I think it being tied to the Marvel Universe and the Marvel IP is going to give players the ability to jump in the way that Concord won't. These are characters we kind of know something about because of their mainstream popularity, either through comic books or other video games or other TV shows or movies or the MCU, all of these things. There's a reason to care about Doctor Strange. There's a reason to care about Rocket Raccoon. Of course, Spider-Man is interesting. Of course, Venom is interesting. Of course, the Hulk is interesting. But because of the work of other mediums, mainstream audiences are just going to be more interested in this than something like Concord, where you're asking us to care about things that maybe we will, maybe we won't, but we have nothing to stand on here. I'm going to play this just to feel how Spider-Man feels, as a huge Spider-Man fan. And also, the game looks good.
It does. There's a couple of things that worry me. First of all, you saw the Reaper Ultimate. You were looking away. Verbatim Reaper Ultimate, which clearly shows...
Listen, it's an Overwatch ripoff, 100%. And they're using Marvel as an IP to get people to work. But hey, if it works, it works,
It does. And the thing is, with Concord, the core gunplay, the combat looks really interesting.
Yes.
This one at a glance seems like, oh, it's even better. But I noticed that a lot of the cool looking stuff are your abilities, your special stuff.
Yes.
Your moment-to-moment combat.
The team-up abilities that they've got going on and going forth. They've got Levolution in this game. Buildings can be destroyed and stuff. They come back very fast from what beta players were telling me. But yeah, there's a lot going for Marvel Rivals here that just doesn't seem to be going for anybody else. I think even if you stripped the Marvel IP away from this, I still think it would look kind of cool.
It would look cool, certainly. I'm more worried about how it actually functions from when you're doing normal attacks, which I think is mainly what you're going to end up doing, unless you really just pull off abilities a lot, which it seems like, once again, these trailers have shown to be the case. Yeah. That's obviously an ultimate of some kind. I'm more up on it on Concord due to the fact that those abilities do look so cool. I'm just wondering if it's more flash than substance.
I guess we'll have to find out whenever that beta comes around, Though the beta is available on PC right now, so you could go find out. Well, I guess we could both go find out at any time pretty easily, But we're lazy, and we just wait for full releases like a bunch of fucking plebeians.
Yep.
Where Winds Meet.
IGN didn't even put this on their their breakout of everything that they announced. So I had forgotten about it.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because I remember I believe this is the trailer that I watched, and I was like, not up on it so much. And then it showed some sauce, but not entirely, not carrying it.
This is when I'd forgotten about. Oh, right, with the giant thing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This game looks cool. It looks kind of Kojima-esque in some of its presentation and so forth. But it looks, it's dope looking. The real question is just how is game feel going to be? Again, this is in that Rise of the Ronin, Stellar Blade,
Sekiro,
Sekiro wannabe inspired type thing. But is it going to live up to that? Listen, the bar is Sekiro, right? But where is it going to land? Who knows? Hopefully somewhere close. But it looks, as I keep watching this trailer, this looks good. I don't know why I didn't remember it when we watched it from the State of Play.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And it really could go either way.
Yeah.
These Souls games at this point have either, when they try to, play off the Dark Souls formula, it's really a coin toss of whether they're going to nail it in their own way or just copy off it so much that it just becomes kind of boring to play.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, I am too, yeah.
Until Dawn remaster, remake, something, I don't know. They haven't given I think it's a remaster. When I Googled it, it said remastered.
It's Until Dawn, but looks better.
Does it?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It doesn't look better from my memory of playing it.
As someone who hasn't played it and only see bits and pieces, it seems better.
Okay. I don't know. Some of the way the lighting on the characters and how they're living in the world, it doesn't look how I remember it, but maybe that's just memory. Maybe, rose-tinted glasses and so forth. Cool. Coming to PS5 and PC. Yeah. You want? Sure. Until Dawn, not a game I'm like hankering for again, but that's me. Path of Exile 2. Connor, do you have anything to say about this? Because I don't.
Seems way more better and interesting than Diablo. By every measure. It seems like it has more interesting classes. It seems like the combat's more fast-paced and requires more from you. I played Diablo 3, and I remember...
Path of Exile 2 it's on PC right now, right?
Right now?
Pretty sure.
Maybe it is.
This is a
free-to-play
console
action RPG created by... Yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is... Yeah, and so, I think it's... From what I heard, it's good. It's pretty good. Whatever. But, yeah, I don't know. It didn't capture my attention, but maybe that's just me. Maybe we're off the mark here.
Could be.
Yeah. Silent Hill 2 remake release date trailer. The news is that Silent Hill 2 is set to release October 8th. They showed off some new characters and different new designs for all these characters and so forth. Man, no. This game, I don't see it. I really don't see it. I know you got a buddy who's really into Silent Hill 2. He's excited for this. I'm glad that he's excited for this, but as an outsider looking in, someone who has not played Silent Hill 2, the original, this game doesn't look... And Silent Hill 2 should have the reverence of a Resident Evil 2 remake. That's where we should be upholding this thing. And it does not look to be that level of quality, and it should be, is the thing. This looks like a Blooper Team game. I'm sure it's going to be all right, fun for some people, but will it be a life-changing event? No, and that's a problem when we're talking about Silent Hill 2 remake. This game, it's just not looking. It doesn't look like it's shaping up to be what it should be.
Which you can be more confident in saying that it's reflecting poorly on the game if it was just the only trailer. But this is the second trailer we got, both of which were met with the kind of, oh, that's it?
Yeah.
The first one, the buddy you were talking about, mentioned a story, and I saw the story as well, that the team itself was upset that they made it out to be more of an action game. And then they went ahead on the second trailer and made it out to be an action game, but just input more of the atmosphere that Silent Hill really is known for.
And the atmosphere looks okay, but again, I'll say, the game looks ugly.
Yeah.
And I'm not, the graphics guy. I don't love... I don't hang my hat on how beautiful a game is usually, but dog, this game looks slightly better than Heavy Rain on the PS3. What are we doing here?
It's the character models that really they didn't work on well enough.
Yeah.
They just seem, I don't know,
they
kind
look
of
stiff.
flat.
The face, the flat is a good word for it. Yeah, it just doesn't, I don't know, man. This game, I don't think this game is coming together, and I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but...
Hopefully it's good.
Hey, man, my hope is that it's great. My hope is that I'm dead ass wrong, but I've seen a lot of game trailers and a lot of, whenever they look like this, you're looking at, this is a game that should be on the level of a Resident Evil 2 remake, and you're looking at best an Outlast.
Yeah.
That's not great. And Outlast is a great game for what it is, but this game should be better than that.
And it'd be nicer if the gameplay looked also better on its own. Like, I'd be able... The not great-looking character models, I can forgive. I can get over easy. But the combat is just like, I don't think I'm going to be super...
It just doesn't look like it feels right.
Into it.
You know, it looks like it feels wrong. And I'm not saying it needs to like play great. It's a survival horror game. Resident Evil, when Resident Evil leans more on the survival horror, they don't play fantastically, but they look like how they feel. Mm-hmm. You know, you look at that game and then you play it and you go, oh, that feels about right. And that works for the game. You know, even when Resident Evil 2 was first like shown off in the gameplay, it looked right. I think what'll really show off how confident they are in this game is if they put a demo out. Mm-hmm. And from that demo, we're going to be able to suffice like how it is. But I don't think they're going to, and I think that's going to show their hand that, hey, this game is not going to be awesome. You know, maybe it'll be all right, but Silent Hill 2 Remake should be more than all right. I'm going to play the original before this comes out. Even just like comparing the two seems better and more interesting to play. My few times, literally. I was in there for about 15 minutes. It sucks you in. This does not seem to, from the trailer at least. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter Wilds first trailer. This is Wilds has been announced before, but this is our first like real showing of it. Getting to see more and more of it. I think it looks pretty good. It's a Monster Hunter game, so if you like Monster Hunter, you're probably going to be into this. But it doesn't look. It's not promising anything more than just being a better looking, probably better playing Monster Hunter game. And honestly, that's probably exactly what it needs to be.
And I don't have experience with Monster Hunter as a whole. I played a little bit of World. I had played originally, like I think it was 4 or something when I had my DS. Neither time I got into it. Rise I played relatively recently with some friends. I kind of got left behind in the dust, partly because of the show. I can't really level up the way they were leveling up, but it was very, very fun. And this one, it looks like it's better, but I don't really have a lot of other Monster Hunters to compare it to.
Yeah.
The movement system in Rise was about these bugs that you kind of used as like grappling hooks, but you grappled the air. And it was a really cool movement system. This one seems to be replacing, because they always seem to have a movement system in place, and this one seems to be more mount-focused. Like you get on this special mount very quickly and easily.
Just right away, this looks like exactly what it should be. You know, it looks like a prettier Monster Hunter than we've ever seen before. It looks like it's going to feel right to play. It looks fluid in its movement. The little bits of gameplay that they're showing here are telling me that they are on the right path for what Monster Hunter should be. Am I saying this looks like the best game of all time? No. But it looks like a fun time, and hey, go fight big monsters. All right, cool. I'm into that. Let's go. Yeah, I think this one's I think they've got a bit of a banger on their hands here.
Yeah, I think so.
Is it going to change my personal mind about Monster Hunter? Probably not. But should it? Probably not. You know? And then finally, the big banger of the showcase, and probably the best looking and definitely most impressive game of the state of play here, is Astrobot. I loved it. Listen, I know you're not a big 3D platformer guy. You go check out the Astrobot Playroom that comes with every PlayStation 5. If
I saw you playing it.
Yeah, if you've never played Astrobot Playroom, it's awesome. It's a cool little tech demo to show off all of the cool, unique things about Astrobot. The confidence that they are showing with this game tells me a lot. Team Asobi has something here. This game looks like a absolute fucking banger. Presentation-wise, budget seems to be well allocated here. The levels seem to be well allocated here. Something like 80 levels. There's a like fail and retry mode of like, hey, we're going to throw some like hard difficulty stuff at you, a bunch of different worlds that you can go explore. I love that Astrobot is the platformer that celebrates PlayStation as an ecosystem. One that says, hey, we have all these great IPs, come and explore their worlds and come and meet the characters in Astrobot form. Ratchet and Clank, Aloy, Kratos, Nathan Drake, all of these great things. There was a Bloodborne Hunter reference in Playroom. Maybe there will be in this full game. I think calling it Astrobot just full out says, hey, this is a new introduction to this IP. We want you to come play this one. We are going all out here. This is where we are leveling up this IP and turning it into a major PlayStation mascot franchise. And on top of that, it looks fantastic. It looks beautiful. It's charming. It's funny. It looks fun. It looks, I said it in the group chat, this looks 3D Mario level quality, and that's the gold standard.
See, that's the thing, because you mentioned, I'm not big on the 3D platformers. As far as this showcase goes, it looks better than any other 3D platformer I've seen in years. Better than Mario Odyssey when I saw it. Like, Odyssey, Mario kind of hinges to me on it being Mario. This seems to be able to, even though it's using PlayStation, references, it still stands on its own as being its own thing.
It looks like if you don't care about the other PlayStation games, this game still looks awesome.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not leaning on the advertisement of seeing Kratos in the game at all, or seeing the Shadow of the Colossus kid at all. This is 100%. Hey, these levels are fun, and also PlayStation IP is here. Mm-hmm. The PlayStation IP is not front and center like a Marvel Rivals, even though Marvel Rivals also looks great. But this is saying, hey, great 3D platformer with a bunch of fan service. Yeah. That is what you would always hope to have. And the best part, coming this year.
PlayStation needs games.
Where is the actual date? There it is, September 6th. 2024. Great date for it, great time for it, just at the end of summer, right before holiday season and so forth. This is going to be a great title for everybody. Family, friends, kids, guys like you and me in their mid to late 20s and so forth. This game is going to be a blast. I can't wait. I'm so. This is potential game of the year here. And that's crazy to say in the same year that we had Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Infinite Wealth, Like a Dragon, and what else has been great? Tekken 8,
Unicorn Overlord.
Sure, that too, yeah.
There you go, Phil.
There you go, Phil. You got the shout out. But this looks like it's going to be in direct competition with those on just quality alone. I can't wait to play it. Are you going to give it a shot?
Maybe. It really depends.
This non-committal ass bitch right
It really
here.
depends on what I'm doing at the time, what other games are coming out, what games I'm trying to beat.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. I'm excited. I can't wait. Connor, moving on to topic number 2 of the show. Finally, getting past the meat of it. Let's move on to who's got this first topic here? Is it you or me?
I guess it'll be me.
I guess it's you. There we go. Take it away, Reverend.
Oh, it's this one.
Yeah, isn't it?
No, but
which one is it?
It can be. It was the CEO from Embracer.
Embracer. Got it.
Yes.
YouTube's last, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
All right, cool. There you go. Take it away. Topic 2, your topic.
We have an article from IGN here, from Wesley Yin Poole specifically. Embracer boss moles increasing the price of video games beyond $70. It's something we've been discussing. But it says in the fucking byline. The controversial boss of Embracer Group has discussed the topic of increasing the price of video games beyond $70 and amid rising development costs and a brutally competitive market. Lars Wingefors, who has laid off thousands of staff, shut multiple studios and sold off subsidiaries in the last financial year, told GamesIndustry.biz that pushing the price of video games higher is something Embracer has discussed, and that doing so would mean more video games would be released. Quote, I'm not saying you can't increase the price, Wingefors told the site, but the reality is no one has tried it. If you create an enormous role-playing game, for example, with 100 or 150 hours of gameplay, very polished, and a unique experience, would the consumer be willing to pay more? If they would have more products potentially coming to market, but no one tried it. It's something we have been discussing, but we are currently sticking to the practice of the industry. Would it be that one company, one day, that tries to increase pricing? That remains to be seen. The AAA video game industry collectively raised the price of its video games with the launch of the current console generation in 2020, but in recent months, the $70 price point has become the topic of much discussion amid the industry's ongoing struggles. Recent data points to gamers trending to favor older live service games such as Fortnite, Roblox, and Call of Duty, leaving less room for new full-price games. Indeed, Embracer has seen a number of high-profile flops, including the recently released horror revival Alone in the Dark, which WindForce said was, quote, a big investment that, quote, didn't catch enough consumers. Continuing the quote, I think the industry is facing the same problem as all other industries, with inflation, and rising costs of game development, WindForce added, and it's been hard to increase pricing in premium PC console. The pricing of those products has been the same for many years, which means that the margin to succeed is less, and on top of that, there is a higher cost of capital. Ultimately, when you make big investments or games, you need to play with teams you are very confident in or with IPs you own or control and have the full financial income. On top of that, the consumers have been more content than ever to choose from. They love to engage in established IPs they've been playing before, which means it's harder to have them trying out new things or new IPs. It's just something we're all facing. It's a reality which we've been adapting to over the past year, and we will continue to adapt to that reality, end quote. WindForce comments suggest Embracer is waiting for another video game company to go first, essentially, before it follows suit with a price hike. But what company could justify such a move? Which would likely be met with a backlash from gamers. That's well there.
Fuck around if you want to.
It's really telling a couple of things. It's telling that they're waiting for someone else to do it.
Yeah.
Because the Embracer Group are snake oil salesmen.
Yeah.
They bought up a bunch of studios, attempted to push a bunch of games out onto market.
Bought the rights to a bunch of IPs.
Didn't do well. Wasn't a proper practice, and game studios and employees suffered as a result of that. And this is off the back of them increasing games from $270. Back then, it takes longer to make, it costs more to make games. We want to pay more for workers. All of that sounded bullshit out the gate. Now that we saw the price rise happen and saw mass layoffs follow after the fact, it tells me that you were just bullshitting from that point, and it was just a way to try and justify it. And this seems even more pathetic, especially because it's coming from a guy like Lars Winchforce, who has consistently failed in the gaming market. And so, why would you go to him over anybody else for ideas? You wouldn't, because he's an idiot. He's bad at doing what he's in the position to do so, because he's the head of a company. And you basically can fail very often, and you don't see any firings happen, because you're the guy. You're the head of it. And once again, all of these things that he was saying for why $80 would be justified just sounds like he came out of a boardroom where they were discussing it, and he's still in the mindset of talking to stiff people in suits, that he was trying to say that to normal people. It just sounds like a pathetic attempt to try and make up for all the losses that they've been going through recently.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you got it right there. My only thing is like, if this industry is unsustainable, and if this industry, like they keep saying it is, and if this industry needs more profit to come from somewhere, and if it can only come from rising in prices, which I don't believe that's the case. I believe there's more creative solutions, and I believe that the CEOs need to take more pay cuts, but that's kind of how the whole world is reacting right now. There's an unstable amount of greed investing in every industry, not just video games. And quite frankly, like, are video games taking longer to produce? Yes. Are they more expensive than ever to produce? Yes. Do those two things kind of go hand in hand? Yes. Do we as gamers need to hold these games to the bar that they're currently at? I don't know if we do. I think I've said it before. I think it's okay if games look a little less pretty and maybe are a little less long, for the sake of getting them out faster. There was a funny little thing that I saw on Twitter this last week where they were proving examples of, like, Ratchet & Clank was the franchise they were using as an example, and how many games we got in the first, because Ratchet's been around for 2 decades now, how many games we got in the first decade versus the second decade. In the first decade, we got like 12 Ratchet games. In the second decade, we got 3. That's a problem. Now, part of that is because of the waning interest in 3D mascot platformers and how it kind of is sort of coming back a little bit, and Ratchet was popular enough to survive the purge that we got after the PS2 generation and still have games in the PS3, PS4, and PS5. But we had one game on PS4, one game on PS5, and then we had like a PS3 game which made it into this decade of Ratchet & Clank is the point. My point of saying that all is, Does Ratchet and Clank need to continue to be a showcase of technology? No. Ratchet and Clank can just be Ratchet and Clank, and that's fine, you know? There's a lot of video games that don't need to be a showcase of technology, and that's fine. Hellblade 2 is the prime example today of like, all right, the game is beautiful, and that's fantastic. But is that what's interesting about Hellblade?
Doesn't seem to be, because it hasn't got as much attention.
Isn't it a little bit more of the dive into the character of Psychosis and the meta-narrative that they're putting out and the themes? I don't know. You would be better equipped to answer that question, but that's what I would assume is more interesting about that game. Not so much how well the eye tracking technology is on Senua. Horizon is another example. Horizon, beautiful set of games. Both of them are gorgeous. Some of the most beautiful open world games you can see and that you can get on the market. Do they need to be? Is that selling any more copies? I don't know if it is.
I know the reception to Forbidden West was kind of lackluster. People didn't get excited about it as much as they had the last game. And from people who played it, we could say it looked way prettier.
Yeah.
It played the exact same thing.
Then let's compare that to the game that came out the week after that. Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Fantastic game, right? Plays great, so much fun, so challenging, such a great world to develop in or to play in. Is that the prettiest game on the market? No.
And no one gave a shit.
It's got a striking art style, so there are moments where it looks gorgeous. But if you take a microscope to that game and you look at some of the texture work in it, it's pretty muddy. You know? It's just not the prettiest game in the world. It just isn't. But does that matter? Obviously not. So why do we keep talking as if it does matter? You know? Why are we inflating the cost of game production to do this? Listen, if a game needs to be $80, it needs to be $80, and that's just the world we live in. But I would argue maybe we can take some different steps and a different approach and meet the same amount of success for less cost, you know? Because quite frankly, gaming's not going to get much bigger.
Yeah.
You know? It's pretty fucking big right now. And it's just not going to get much bigger. And if this is unsustainable when the profits are at the highest, you know, when gaming is at its peak, or at least in comparison to what it's ever been, why do costs need to go up?
I've always stuck to this belief that any reason as to why is just a cloak for the fact they want more money. That's all it really comes down to.
Undeniably, it is. Undeniably.
It doesn't change anything. It has no impact at all. It's just for their wallets.
Now, again, if they were like, no, we actually got to go to $80, and they showed us that, hey, this is how we keep these studios alive and we keep these people paid, it's not just going to our greedy CEOs. If they were able to like prove that to us, then abso-fucking-lutely I'd be willing to go to $80 for this, because I fucking love this industry, I love this medium, and I want it to succeed. My argument is, I don't think that's the only solution, and I don't even think it's the best solution.
And will it really draw people into play game, get more games?
Yeah,
I
don't even think it would solve the problem.
No,
because I think that greed is running rampant, and we would just continue to have this problem. It would just keep inflating itself. Tell us you need more dollars all you want. At the end of the day, why are these games so expensive to make?
You got to feed the machine.
Maybe our focus is in the wrong place. You know?
Just maybe.
But, Connor, maybe there's another reason as to why this market is inflating so much, and maybe there are other solutions, and maybe we're not giving them enough credit. So moving on to topic number 3, I'm going to take this as my second penny of the day. Take-Two CEO, the idea that AI will make everyone unemployed is, quote, the stupidest thing I've ever heard. This is from Andy Chalk over at PCGamer.com. The rise of AI will probably, hopefully, not end with armies of merciless T-Series androids roaming the streets of shattered cities, hunting down the pathetic remnant. Okay, yeah, we get it. Terminator is coming around. Convert much of our that it could put a whole bunch of people out of work and convert much of our artistic landscape into soulless, six-figured sludge. Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick doesn't think so. Though, in fact, speaking at a recent TD Cowen conference, he predicted precisely the opposite. Zelnick began his comments by noting that even though the game industry has access to tools that make development more efficient than ever, the cost of making games has gone up astronomically. The reason, he said, is that the creation of advanced development tools has enabled studios to take on more complex tasks. Generative AI will result in essentially the same thing, he thinks. Quote, it will allow us to do a bunch of things more efficiently, so we'll turn our attention to other things. And those other things will probably still be costly and time-consuming. Those, quote, other things will also still require actual human people. Quote, I also don't think for a minute that generative AI is going to reduce employment, Zelnick said. That's crazy. It's actually crazy. It's not going to make people irrelevant. It's going to change the nature of certain forms of employment. And that's a good thing. Which isn't to say the embrace of generative AI will be painless. Zelnick acknowledged that people in some fields will be replaced by AI of various forms, but in the long run, he believes that too will be a good thing. Quote, for those of you who shop online, a little box opens up and says, hi, I'm Bob. How can I help you shop for a couch today? You do know that Bob is AI, right? Zelnick said. Quote, you're aware that Bob is not Bob, right? The person who was Bob 3 years ago sitting in a call center in India, they're doing more interesting work now because these are competent people who are highly educated and better jobs came along that probably pay them more. Zelnick's use of agriculture in the U.S. to reinforce his point indirectly, and I would assume unintentionally puts a spotlight on the dark side of technology transitions. In the mid-1800s, 65 to 70% of the U.S. population worked in agriculture, he said. Today, that figure stands at less than 2%. Yet farmers are feeding an exponentially larger number of people in the country and exporting around the world. That may be true, but the process of getting there included, among other things, the farm crisis of the 1980s that devastated the rural U.S. and fueled a spike in suicides and violent crimes. Farmers were not suddenly free to write and paint and conduct oceanographic research. Thousands of lives were straight up ruined. And that's where I'm going to go is, hey, man, that's a real optimistic outlook on this shit. And to be quite frankly, I don't fucking believe you because we've seen time and time again, people in your position are motivated by greed, motivated by monetization, motivated by money, you know? And quite frankly, I don't see what you're saying to be the truth. And I think more often than not, I'm not saying you don't have a point. You have a point. You are correct. Hey, if we use AI to get rid of some of these more annoying parts of the job, that will allow our artists and creators to work on more interesting parts of the job. They are going to be working just as much. Hopefully, they're going to be getting paid more, and they're still going to be employed and used in this art form. That's all great, and I do agree that will happen. But the cost into the transition of these things will be great. So I'm not saying, hey, me personally, Tavin Bothel, is saying, hey, don't use AI at all. I see the benefits. I see how it can be used to construct a healthier industry or a more interesting industry or a more interesting medium as a whole. But we need to be smart in our implementation of it. We need to think about it, think it through. Find out how, we need to find out what jobs will be inevitably replaced by AI, because there will be jobs replaced by it. We need to figure out what those jobs are. We need to figure out how to move these people onto other jobs. And we need to figure out how to train them and transition them into these other jobs without costing them their livelihood. That's the important part. We are at a point with technology. It's not a matter of can we do these things. It's a matter of should we do these things. And quite frankly, if it's not worth the cost, I'm not willing to do it. Even if that cost is short term and we go through 10, 15, 20 years of hurt for it, I'm sorry, we are at a position in just human evolution in that we don't need to do these things. You know, we are fine where we are. We can limit the art, or that's a bad turn of phrase. Not limit the art. We can reset our expectations to where they are not this high. We can bring it down for the reason of, hey, these artists get to make what they want to make, not what they are being forced to make. They don't have to relearn new tools and all these different things. Or maybe they just like what they're doing now, and that's okay. Is it short-sighted? Maybe. Is it going to handicap us? Maybe. But we're at a point right now where, do we need to continue advancement? I don't know.
I'm of the opinion that keeping things simple is good sometimes. There's always this push for innovation, for something new. Apple does it a lot. It's one of the reasons why I hate Apple, is any single time I see them do some new thing, like something as simple as the chargers that they use, it's like you're just trying to make your own thing and be the what do you call them? Fucking people who lay the path. The pathfinders,
the trendsetter,
the trendsetter, right? Yeah. And AI seems to be a case of that. So
let me clarify real quick. Are you mad that they're switching to the USB-C, or you're mad that they were using lightning cables all this time?
Lightning cable.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because you're wrong and stupid, and Apple is fucking trash-ass company that makes trash-ass phones. And if you're an Apple user, you're a fucking sheep. You fucking don't know anything about actual technology and freedom. You would just rather Apple tell you what to eat, what to read, what to think. But go ahead. Yeah, your iPhone is the best thing in the world. Okay.
Yeah, go to your Google phone.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, I bet you do. TD Cohen, though, as I just found out, I had an idea of what they were. They're an investment bank. And so when you do a conference to somebody like that, it even more so kind of shows your colors. Because this sounds
is about
like,
profit.
Exactly. This is like a snake oil salesman. His job, the field of AI, not only with people like Zelnick, but people who he's talking to, if they're at an investment bank, really only have room to benefit from AI. The human cost of it can be considered irrelevant to them if the only thing they care about is trying to make games more efficient to make, just so they can get them out the gate, regardless of whose jobs they're overtaking. Because there are rooms for AI in game development. There is, just limited ones. He doesn't seem to say he wants to limit the use of AI to not replace jobs. He's just saying, you guys are all crazy. It's not going to replace people's jobs. It's like you only have incentive to say that and no incentive to say, be all doom and gloom about it.
Here's the thing. At some point, this technology is going to do all the work for us. So at some point, the threshold will be we're going to have to get used to 25, 30, 40, a majority maybe even of human population to be unemployed, right? Because the machine is going to do it all for us. And in that case, we need to be able to support these people if that happens. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen in the next decade, but at some point it will happen, right? If we continue down this road. That's how these things work, right? Suddenly we're in Wall-E world, right? Where it's just a bunch of fat people on floating scooters. You know what I'm saying?
You don't know how it's going to end up.
Right. So it's just like, okay, go down that road if you want to, but where does that leave us, the human? Where does that allow us to work? Where does that allow us to create? Where does that allow us to just go about our lives in this format? You want to go down this path? Fine. Are you going to be prepared for it? I don't think you will. And let me tell you what, there's just more regular people than there are you. And listen, revolutions get televised, motherfucker.
You never know. But to move back onto the scale of AI rather than human revolution. Which
hey, man, the French do some things very well. That's all I'm going to say.
That is true.
They do some things very well. Sometimes I wish we were more like the French.
Yeah. Except for the French Revolution did kill like massive amounts of innocent people.
No, yeah, a lot of dead people. But you know who they got in the process?
The bad ones.
The bad ones.
Yeah. By the way, Marie Antoinette was just like a...
We're too deep.
Yeah, anyway.
You've lost me.
Regardless, he also strawmans this entire argument because his primary stance, as it's pointed at the title of the article, is stop acting crazy. It's not going to take everyone's jobs. A lot of people aren't saying it's going to take everyone's jobs. There's some fear-mongering about that down the line. But at the core of it, they're worried about, just jobs being lost. Not every single aspect replacing every single job. So it's a way to try and pretend like it's not as bad, or at least the potentials aren't as bad as they are, and just focus on, well, it's not going to be everybody.
It's
not
real hard. Hey, if someone's 45 and has been doing the same job for 15, 20 years, it's real hard to train him into something new.
That's the other aspect of it. It's easy to say, oh, we'll have people work with AI as a career. AI's complex.
That's great if you're 20.
Yeah. Or even if you're not 20, it's even if you're 23,
Yeah.
25, and you're already on a career path. Shifting to AI, which is a whole other list of skills, is just untenable to think it's going to be able to, account for all of the jobs that would be replaced by AI.
Yeah.
It's very short-sighted, which is what you would expect when you're talking about people that are primarily concerned, possibly only concerned with profit. What else?
Again, I don't think he doesn't have a point here, but just take that line of thinking a little further. Yeah. And where are you? Where are we going with this? And can we take care of our people? That's what we want at the heart of this, is to take care of our people. And you haven't been. Yep. It doesn't look like you're going to. And so your line of thinking now needs to be overly scrutinized, and it doesn't bode well for the people. Is basically where we're going with that.
Yeah. I mean, two sides of the last thing I'll say, two sides of this is that you have people that are incredibly fearful of AI in every way, shape, and form. You can call them a bit paranoid, but on the opposite end of the spectrum, those people that are just like, we should just do it. It's fine. It's okay. Shouldn't exactly be seen as reasonable people either.
Yeah, I'm with that. Yeah. 100%. Moving on to our final topic of the day. Connor, your second penny of the day. Go ahead. This is what I thought we were starting with, but we're moving on. Take it away, friend.
Kind of a interesting story from PlayStationLifestyle.net. YouTube hunting down employees behind video game leaks report. This is from Zarmina Khan. A known insider has suggested that YouTube may have begun investigating reports that its employees are behind a large number of video game leaks in recent years. An increasing amount of accurate leaks are now coming from random social media accounts and forum posters, and fans have long suspected that some of them are YouTube employees or associated with them. A number of, quote, insiders, end quote, tend to share information about games ahead of their trailers going live. One of the most infamous leaks was the GTA 6 trailer, which forced Rockstar to share the video earlier than planned. The pattern of the leaks have led many to believe that YouTube employees who are able to access back-end systems are the ones leaking information. According to known insider Tom Henderson, YouTube has carried out at least 2 investigations over the last 18 months, and a third investigation is expected soon, especially after yesterday's State of Play leaked ahead of time. Presumably, a YouTube employee accessed the trailers that Sony had planned to set live during the event. This is a tweet from Tom Henderson. From what I can gather, YouTube has investigated employees breaching their contractual agreements on 2 different occasions in the past 18 months. That's just what I just read. There might be a little more information. Yeah, we're ditching that. We're not going to name any names here, but if YouTube is successful in its crackdown, I suspect that quite a few well-known leakers will be out of business. This, at a first glance, and at a second glance, seems
Listen,
reasonable.
the headline sounds rough, but then you read it, you go, all right, yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, we usually err on the side against corporations, whether it's YouTube or video game companies, partly because of the annoyance and hatred we feel towards some of them for what they've done for the industry. But you're going to want to kind of keep this stuff under lock and key until you're ready to announce it. That's just basic business sense. There's no real reason besides, people's own satisfaction to leak games
from the
early.
State of Play.
What
leaked from the State
Maybe
of
the
Play?
lineup? That might have happened just shortly before.
I guess
I didn't see anything.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like Astrobot, like us knowing about Astrobot, I guess leaked, but I don't know.
Who can really say? But ultimately, you got to stop leaks from coming down. I mean, it's not a severe problem. It's not like we're fighting the enemy of the century here.
Yeah.
But
listen, marketing is an important part of every business, and this industry is huge, and it's very dependent upon its marketing. Reveals are a big part of this business for some reason. I don't know why it's like this. Movies aren't like that, but for some reason video games are. So when something gets announced, it's a big deal, and Connor, you're critical of it often, and I am sometimes as well, is when things get announced too early. Well, when things are announced, it's an advertisement for people to come work for the studio. Is usually what it is. Hey, if you really like Star Wars games, we're making Star Wars games over here at Respawn. Come play with us, Kingdom Hearts 4, we're making it. Come work with us over at Square Enix and type things. Now, sometimes, we're announced way too early, but, sometimes it's necessary in these things. We just need to change how things are announced. But when it comes to leaks, these presentations take a lot of time, I mean, Connor, how long do we, you guys don't see this, but Connor, how long do we does it take out of our schedule to just make our shitty little YouTube presentation in the format that we do? It takes a long time, it takes a lot of effort. Now, for people who actually do this or actually present things and put assets together and so forth, I'm sure it takes them a lot of time and a lot of talent. And, you don't want that effort squandered because someone got, a trailer a day early because of YouTube and so forth. But you have to work within the capacity of YouTube because YouTube is where the people are. Yeah. So yeah, it's a tricky thing. And at the end of the day, like, do I want to appease the giant global corporation that's sucking the soul out of the industry? Not really. But there are people on the other side of this that I want them to present their art in the way that they want to present it. And so yeah, leaks are cool and interesting, but they're not necessary. It's fun for us to hear about the leak of the next big Respawn game being a Mandalorian-based Star Wars game, But then it's also heartbreaking when we hear that it gets canceled behind the scenes, and we wouldn't have known about it at all without leaks. No. You know what I mean? So, like, it's a back and forth with the whole thing, with the relationship of it. Overall, YouTube is absolutely entitled to hunt these leakers down. It is hurting their business. It is hurting their relationships with these other studios or other corporations, and that really sucks. It's about keeping the relationship with YouTube and PlayStation on good terms, because if that relationship gets damaged, money gets lost, jobs get lost, it just spells out bad stuff for us. So leaks are fun for us, the consumer, but they damage the producer, and the producer is a vital part of every business.
Sometimes the corpos are right.
Sometimes they're right.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be an extra long episode of the Two Penny Gamescast, because if you didn't know, we have a Two Penny Game Club review of Metal Gear Solid coming up right now. We're going to bring Phil in for that, and it's going to be a good old time ranking it and reviewing it and all the other things that come with our monthly video game book club. But, of course, this is the end of the news segment. Don't go anywhere. Don't click off. This is, of course, the end of our news segment of the Two Penny Gamescast. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow us. All of our socials are down in the description below. We're going to have a lot of great breakout videos out of this episode. I already know. A lot of great TikToks coming out of this video. I already know. And so make sure you like, subscribe, follow on all of our platforms for that. Until next time, have a great time. And Connor, let's bring Phil in here.
Get in here, boy.
What's poppin', players? Welcome back to a Two Penny Game Club, your monthly video game book club in which I, your host, Tavin Bothel, alongside my dear friends and co-hosts, say hello to the people, Connor, Elliott.
Hello. How are you all doing today?
Hey, hey, hey. And say hello to the people, Phil Shoemaker.
What's going on?
Hey, me. He's here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your Two Penny Game Club, your monthly video game book club in which me and this fine panel of judges come to you at the beginning of every month, and we review and rank a video game for your enjoyment. Play along with us as we play throughout the month. This month, we are doing Metal Gear Solid. And of course, at the end of the episode, we will rank Metal Gear Solid amongst the other games we have played in the game club. We have done games such as Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VII, and my dear beloved Severed. Man, what a game Severed was, wasn't it, boys?
It was good. You can see how good last month's episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what we did last month is we reviewed and ranked Severed.
Mistakenly put it above Pokemon Soul Silver.
No, Severed, better game.
I don't know. Last week I had y'all convinced.
I on the piggy bank, yes, you had us convinced of how good Pokemon is. And it's a good game. We said that. It was a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not as good. Just not as good. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, Metal Gear Solid 1. It released in September 3rd, I believe. Yes, September 3rd, 1998. Sold around 6 million copies. That's a huge hit for 1998. And has a Metacritic of 94 with a user score of 8.4. Normally, I don't care to include the user scores. Today, I thought it was probably a little bit worth it bringing in that, because I think it's a little. I think the true score should be somewhere in the middle of those two. 94 is a little high. 8 8.4 is a little low for me, but I wouldn't go much higher.
There's a thing Metacritic does where its older games are generally rated a lot higher than you'd think they were.
Especially the classics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially those.
This is indeed one of those. Metal Gear Solid, of course, coming out, blowing people away for its cinematic quality for the time, its high quality voice acting for the time, and I think the voice acting still holds up. But we'll get into each of our own individual reviews here in a second, and of course, just kind of like breaking down barriers of video games, and I think something Kojima's really good at is taking the player outside of the experience of the game and getting meta with it. Psycho Mantis is a great example of that. The torture sequence is a great example of that. And there's a bunch of other moments in the game where Kojima reminds you that you are a person playing on a controller, pressing plastic buttons, and sort of the joy of breaking out of the box of keeping you immersed in the experience. I think he does it in really tasteful and really fun ways, in my personal opinion. But we'll get into that here in a second.
Yeah, like when they all of a sudden put up nuclear testing footage of explaining the details of the plot.
That's definitely because they just couldn't do it in Engine. That's 100% why that is. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the biggest Metal Gear Solid fan at the table here today. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is my favorite video game of all time. These first 3 Metal Gear Solid games is one of my favorite trilogies of all time. And so I've got a lot of high praise for this game. Of course, I'm going to try and remain as objective as possible because it's me. I don't like to just, blow smoke up a game's ass for no reason. But spoiler, I like this game. In fact, I like it a lot. Is it one of my favorites of all time? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Depends on what day you catch me. So I think my opinion here is the least entertaining opinion at the table, personally. Connor, this is your first time playing Metal Gear Solid, at least all the way through. You played about half of it back in the day, a few years ago at this point now. But you had never played it all the way through. Phil, this is your second time playing the game all the way through? Yeah, because we, of course, played it so many years ago. It was our first entry into our old Twitch series, Hype, Have You Ever Played, in which me and Phil sat down on a Twitch stream for hours and hours upon a day, had very long live streams, and we sat down and we played games that someone had never played before. So I had played Metal Gear Solid, Phil had not, so I showed him that game for the first time. He played it. We played it all in one day. Which probably not the wisest choice now. Looking back on it, probably should have had some breaks. Eventually in the Hype streams, we broke it up and we would do like 3 hours for a game, and then we would switch to a different game, and we'd have multiple series running at the same time. We didn't do that the first time, and Metal Gear Solid was a victim of that. It was also one of our first pieces of content, so you can go back on the channel and go watch Phil's entire playthrough. It's up live on the channel right now. Is the quality good? Yeah. No.
Let me just tell you right now. No, it's not.
It's not.
But we didn't start like giving ourselves breaks like that, like in terms of switching games until
Jack and Daxter is the one that broke us.
It was like the 5th or 6th game. Yeah.
Jack and Daxter, we played all in one sitting. I think it was all in one sitting, right, Phil? And
just about.
Me and Phil got heated in that stream, and it came to a point to where we had to have a conversation of like, all right, we need to break this up because one full day of all of this is driving us up the wall. It's driving us crazy. Yeah, I think we did like I know we did obviously the first Kingdom Hearts, which again, not a good choice to play that game for 9 hours at a time.
For you as a newbie, no, I can play that game all day.
Anyways, so and then of course, Phil, this is your second time reviewing Metal Gear Solid for the channel. Of course, we did the After the Hype review, which is live right now, which was Phil's first ever podcast, I believe, if I'm remembering things correctly. And we had not been doing this for very long. So again, the quality, very low. But if you want to go see our first blushes with that experience, they're up on the channel now. Please, I'll drop some links in the description. Why not?
Before we had a video.
Yeah, no, we didn't have video. We didn't have good mic balancing. It's bad content. It's really bad content. But you got to start somewhere, And Connor, Since it's your first time playing Metal Gear Solid 1, which one was you? That one. I want to start with you, my friend. And you'll notice, ladies and gentlemen, usually I just cut to the one for people's individual reviews. But I thought it would be fun to have reactions on screen as we say things today. So here we go with this angle right here, which we haven't
Tavin,
used
now
in a
how
while.
am I going to pick my nose? All right, come on.
It's the one like freedom he had on this show, and you took it from him.
Connor,
Yeah.
what was your experience and what is your review of Metal Gear Solid 1?
Time for me to tear this game a new asshole.
Son of a bitch.
First of all, it looks like absolute shit.
Okay, come on.
It looks
terrible.
not that great. Now, at the time, it was revolutionary. It looked,
Yes.
like never before seen, crazy, almost like real graphics. And even though it definitely shows its age, and this game as a whole shows its age in a number of ways, the visuals, they hold up enough. They never hinder gameplay. You never really can tell, you never get lost at what's going on screen. So, and a lot of that has to do with the directing style of Kojima. That's really one of the things that carries this game, I think, potentially in all ways. I'm not super familiar with the creative process of this game, but it has what we know as the Kojima style nowadays. And seeing it for the first time back in the day must have been pretty profound because it's very narrative focused, lots of dialogue like you would expect from a movie, which, as everyone kind of knows nowadays, the director Hideo Kojima loves movies. And you see it done in the presentation of this game very well. The long cutscenes that'll occur, the long conversations, for most of the game are engaging. You sit there and you listen to every single word. I did. It peters out after a while. In fact, the dialogue of the game kind of becomes very heavy-handed and forced. So do the themes of the game, but this is the later half of the game when a lot of the, clutter comes into play. So going back to the very beginning of the game once again, the thing you notice is that it controls well enough on its own, but when the parts all come together, particularly when it comes to fighting, action, it does not perform all that well. It's hard to know where you're shooting sometimes. A lot of it has to do with the fact that it's an old game, but also the people that, rep it a lot, like Tavin, have played it many times over. So the controls, you can overcome them if you have any problems. So they're not terrible controls whatsoever, but it leads to combat that feels generally lacking. And you just go through, there's a mechanic of running and shooting at the same time. It doesn't perform all that well. I'm assuming if I tried it, doing it more and more and more, I'd be able to, narrow it down a bit better, get better at that mechanic. But at that point, you're kind of incentivized to sneak around, which the stealth, it functions well in this game. The AI are pretty stupid and easy to, avoid. You can flip one, and then they'll forget you're there even after they stand up. Tavin told me that. It really does just completely nullify their ability to do anything at all. And so the stealth is nice at first, but after a while, you're just breezing through it to where the stealth doesn't really give you any problems. The difficulties come from the boss fights, which are, they're good enough boss fights. None of them really wow you. Mantis definitely would back in the day, particularly with how it read your save file, but the limitations in technology kind of take that away. Even if I would have been, this run through wowed by the fact that he's doing that at all in the first place. But, the boss fights are few and in between, and some of them are very fun. Like there's a fight with a helicopter. That fight sucks ass. It's easily the worst fight in the entire game. Yeah, undoubtedly.
The worst?
Undoubtedly.
Okay.
Yes. Just because it's so slow and monotonous, and some of these boss fights, to take advantage of them, could be that way, but that's a skill issue. I'll chalk that up to a skill issue. I'm a Dark Souls player. I'll respect that. Before I get to the rest of everyone else's takes on it, going back to the narrative, I said the writing was nice. It really has a quirky feel to it. You immediately become enamored with Snake. Even though he's dropped in the middle of this adventure, he's this legend, and everyone references how legendary he is. And there are games to base that off of. Even without those experiences, you're left liking Snake a lot. His hard-boiled attitude, as well as the fun characters you meet over codex. Mei Ling, your saver, who you call to save the game. Just a nice, fun proverb she gives out that are always kind of one thing you look forward to when it comes to simply saving, which most games can't do that with a simple mechanic that generally is just you go to a menu, you save, done. Resident Evil was the last one to do something as interesting, And I think this one is far better because it doesn't require taking up inventory space.
You got to make sure to listen to all of them every single time.
Yes. Hey, it's good at first. It goes. Yeah, she starts repeating them after a while.
Just skip it.
No,
It's like
I literally
it.
skip it every single time. I did not listen to a single word she said.
Damn. Well,
that's crazy.
Campbell's a fun character. Otacon, the bromance, the beginning of it, you see why people took with it because it is just a fun dynamic that they have going on. And the plot, to get back on track on that, it goes interesting places. I was spoiled on a lot of parts, so I imagine someone coming through the first time around would be a lot more hooked on the narrative. But, I found it entertaining despite knowing pretty much everything that was going to happen, with the main issue being the heavy-handed talking that comes later on that kind of hinders the narrative at that point. But you're pretty hooked on it at that point that you kind of just are able to push past that part and get to the end of the game. But overall, the experience was an enjoyable one. And considering the age of the game, that shouldn't be as likely as it was in this case. But I really enjoyed most of the time playing this game.
Phil, this one. Jumping over to you, my friend. How did you feel this time with Metal Gear Solid 1?
Well, Tavin, I'm happy to report that this game is fucking terrible.
I fucking hate you.
No, I'm totally kidding. I actually really had a good time.
He got me.
Honestly, got me too. I was like, damn.
No, I'm totally kidding. This is almost a night and day experience that I had this time as compared to my experience back in 2021, which is now 3 years ago at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I just had a really good time. It took a long time to get used to, like, not so much the language of the game. That one I was already relatively familiar with. It was more just the, like, nuance of like, okay, I got to be this far away from this person in order to like, not alert them and knock them out, right? I have to what was I looking for? Tavin would come across all the time and be like, "Hey, use the codec all the time. It's like your perfect in-game guide to the game." I just use Google. It's fine. It's the same speed, if not faster, to just use Google. The only time I really needed it was to go back and get the sniper rifle for the Sniper Wolf fight.
It's just so much more fun in the codec, though.
It is way more fun in the codec.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I had a good time running around this base. I didn't feel nearly as, like, shitty towards this game in general, and I gotta say I like this game, and I'll probably end up playing it again. Which is crazy to say, coming off of the review from 3 years ago, where I vowed to never touch this game ever again in my life.
Have you revisited that review recently?
No,
I listened to it the other night. It's rough, like, just in terms of quality, but, like, you were trying to cut it slack, but at the end of the day, it did feel like you didn't enjoy your time. Even though you said it at the beginning, but you were like, as we got deeper into the review, you were like, I just don't want to ever touch this ever again. And so just to hear that you enjoyed yourself this time is a good time.
No, I really wanted to hop on Connor whenever he talked about how it's a skill issue during the Hind D fight. It's not so much a skill issue, it's more just a patience issue. It's literally just like,
well, his point was that fight sucks, but every other fight is a skill issue.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. That
okay,
fight
I misunderstood.
Was just it's too slow, boring, and the content of what you were doing in that fight is lame.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I very much agree.
We can dive deep into it in a minute.
When we get into bosses, I kind of want to talk about, like, favorites and favorite moments and stuff. But yeah, I had a much better time this time around with this game. Did not take me upwards of an hour to beat Gray Fox or the Cyborg
Thank
Ninja,
God.
as you know him.
For those who don't know, and if you want to go back and watch the hype playthrough, Gray Fox took us 2-3 hours to be, probably closer to 2.
Was it that long?
It was a long time.
I was gonna peg like hour 15, hour and a half.
I think it's in the hour and a half to 2 hour range. It was a long time.
longer or shorter than Rex, you think?
Rex was faster.
Rex was faster? Jesus Christ.
Rex was probably the second longest fight that you had, but yeah, Rex was faster.
I just think this version of me playing through this game just shows how much I've grown in the past 3 years. I've really stepped out of my previous very small shell of speaking of shell, how about that big shell from Metal Gear Solid 2, am I right?
Hey, boo, you don't know what that... Oh, yeah, you
I do know what that I know exactly what that is.
Funny occurrence that, you know, I'm known as a really good button masher in our group of friends. Probably the best, out of us at least.
I could give you a run for your money. You know who can't give you a run for your money? This fucking guy right here.
Connor can't even look at the screen while he does it.
I saw that
in the edit. Can I put it up on the thing?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay, great.
That'd be pretty funny. Tavin, you're ridiculous. I will beat you any day of the week. I can. But no. So you know, in the torture sequence, you know, you got to button mash, and you know, my technique. You know, I hold the controller differently when I button mash, right? Or like I kind of alternate with it for a few, like because I for whatever reason changing it just a little bit changes like how tired, like it's like slightly different muscles, so I'm not as tired doing it. And so I had done the first couple normal, just fucking button mashing, and then for like the third one, I switched and did this with another like way, and my thumb accidentally hit the guide button or the map.
touchpad.
Like, I don't know what's it called.
It's called the touchpad.
Yeah. And that's the give up button for the torture sequence. So I gave up and Meryl fucking died.
Oh no.
I did that 5 times. And each time I was just like, boot up the game again. She's not dying because of a stupid modern commendation.
Good
just
man.
screws it over.
God.
Good
and
man.
I was so cocky going into it too. Tavin had asked because I was like, hey, I just got captured, I'm about to be tortured. Tavin's like, hey, you saved right before, right? I was like, nah. Who do you think what do you think this is? What do you think this is? And like, I didn't fail due to a skill issue. I failed due to fucking fat fingers, you know? Like,
you know, fat fingers are just as much a problem as a skill issue, you know? That is a skill issue in its own.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
You can't accommodate for
what
it.
it is.
So, just to be clear, Phil, you got the Meryl dies right off at the sunset with Otacon ending.
yes.
Which is different than your first time. How did you feel about that in comparison? I know you probably don't remember the original ending too much, but how did you feel about that ending?
I really didn't think it was that different. The only thing that was different in my mind was the fact that there was someone different on the back of my
it's mostly
snowmobile.
The same. It's mostly like they have a cute moment where they laugh about their first names, and I know Snake and Meryl kind of have that moment too, but it's the first time both of them tell each other's names, I believe. Or does Snake already know Hal Emmerich?
No, because that's how they introduced him. They said, "Hey, go to Hal Emmerich," and then he was like, "I'm
introduced
Otacon."
themselves as Hal. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
It stands for otaku.
And then it's mostly the same scene. They just kind of swap some stuff, but there is some minor differences in dialogue and conversation of what happens. But the theme is the same of like live your own life. Fate is not know predetermined, especially not based off your genes and stuff. Yeah.
Tavin, just before we move on to like where we're going next, I don't know. You already gave your like review basically, right?
No, I still gotta go.
He's just going last.
Okay, so before we get to you, I just want to talk about how the fact that the flip of the circle and X button is just the bane of my existence in this game. It's oh my god, there's so many moments where I would okay, yeah, sure, I'll do that, and I hit X and it just cancels out whatever. Like I'll be in a menu changing something up. Like I think during the Mantis fight where you have to change the second controller port or whatever, I okay, cool. I'm gonna switch to the second controller port, X, and then I still can't do anything to him. So fuck, I hit the wrong button, so I have to go back and do it again.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the Otacon ending, you know, you get the
stealth camo.
The stealth camo, and I hit fucking X to confirm my save file, and it's gone. It's just gone.
Did you save at the
I can
end
no
of your
longer
experience?
get access to the stealth camo without playing through the game again.
Yeah. So there is a new game plus to this game in which, depending on your ending, you either get stealth camouflage or the infinite ammo bandana. Obviously, we got the Meryl ending, so we both got that. But I also fucked up like Phil did, and I pressed X by accident. But of course, I already have a save file with everything unlocked already.
We have the platinum for this game, Tavin.
Yes, I do indeed have the platinum for this game. Is it worth the platinum experience? No.
Mhm.
And then you save, and then if you go back and reload that save, it starts you at the beginning of the game, and you have that item in your inventory.
Yeah.
So you can play the game with invisibility or with infinite ammo, or both if you play it through another time and do the other ending and so forth, which is, I think, really cool. Moving on to my review. The fuck did you get over there?
I stayed the
I
same.
literally moved it for you. You did stay the same. Did I not change you? Maybe I didn't change you.
Oh, you did.
Anyways, I don't know. I'm gonna cut that out. Hopefully, because I'm gonna come through and edit things. For my review of Metal Gear Solid, I'm a huge fan of this series, so I have an innate bias to it. I grew up playing these games. Of course, Metal Gear Solid 1 was, until recently, the least accessible of the original trilogy. So my first initial experience with this game is the Twin Snakes remake, which I enjoyed when I played it at 16, 15, something like that. But, looking back at it and looking at footage of it, and I haven't played it in a long time, but I'm sure, just looking at it and how I see it now, it's it's definitely the inferior version despite the gameplay upgrades. I think this is if you put yourself back in 1998, I think this is a clear masterpiece and one of the greatest PlayStation 1 games you could ever play. And it definitely had it was definitely part of the conversation of greatest game of all time when it came out. However, we are, someone do the math for me, 26 years later, something like that. Is that right?
26, yeah.
Yeah, 26 years later. And yeah,
I know that because I'm 26 now and I was born in 1998. So
okay, there you go. Yeah. The game doesn't hold up in every possible way that it can. I do think as an overall package, this game has the most aura, the greatest atmosphere, and it can still be held in that conversation of greatest atmospheric game. When you're playing it, you're in that world. Shadow Moses feels like a real place. And just the mood of the game, I still think can enrapture players and really bring us into the world of Metal Gear Solid. I still think this is the greatest entry point for Metal Gear Solid. If you ever want to play, just start here and play alongside the series as it evolves from here. The gameplay is simple. Is it a little clunky? Sure. For first-time players, there is an amount of time of adjustment. But in 1990s, that's how every video game was, is you had to learn the language of the game. You had to learn the feel of the game and how it played. I think Metal Gear Solid is an easier entry point than video games like Resident Evil 1 or even Final Fantasy 7. Arguably even Chrono Trigger, but I would probably give the edge to Chrono Trigger just because it's such a classic RPG setup.
Can I just say real quick, I'm actually really glad that you say that because I actually really agree now having the chance to look back at my time with this game, the second game, and the third. And you would think that of course, obviously the first game is the best entry point, but that's not always the case for every other game. Kind of you just said. I honestly do not see myself going back to play the original version of Resident Evil again. Or I guess it's not the original, of course. That's the GameCube remake. But even still, I don't see myself going back to play that game. I did not really enjoy that game as much.
Yeah.
This is very much the best entry point to a Metal Gear game.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Is it the best in the series? No. I still think it's. Easily it's still top 5 if you include every video game ever. I still think it's. No, I really like Peace Walker. So maybe not top 3 for me anymore. I do think of the original trilogy. It is arguably the weakest of them, just in every position you can argue, whether it's gameplay, whether it's story, whether it's writing or boss encounters and things like that. One thing that I still think it is really strong in is character. I think it introduces its characters very well. I think they are all charming and charismatic. Are they well written? No. Just across the board, no. I think Kojima is a great storyteller. I don't think he's a good writer. I think he needs other people in the room to make his ideas, one, make sense, and to have them come across in the way that he wants them to. Now, I still like this first trilogy of games better than anything he's done since, and I think that's because the team he had around him knew how to sort of bring him in and have him work in the ways that work best when talking at least to a Western audience or just talking to a general popular mainstream audience. I think that team he had with those first 3 games works the best. Phil, you mentioned it briefly, but yeah, there's a learning curve in the game of like, okay, if I want to choke someone out, I have to be standing still. So I have to run up to them, stop moving, and then hold them. But if you come at them at the wrong angle or if you're too close, you're going to get caught, which is ridiculous. You know, Connor, you talked about the absurdity it is to like, you can run up behind them, flip it onto the ground, and then keep running, and then they're just going to, you know, stand up, and do the dumb little look as if
I guess
nothing
I tripped.
happened.
Oops.
Yeah, like literally, it's the most ridiculous thing in the world. It truly is.
I'm gonna leave a banana peel over here.
And it talks about them as like they're genome soldiers.
They're the best in the world.
I forgot about that. That's so funny.
You're like these guys are fucking morons. And you're right. You know, there are times where like you're aiming the gun and you don't know what you're aiming at. You don't get to see like the screen's not zoomed out enough, or like the maps are too big for where they have the camera set in some of the environments. I also think this game has a lot of great ideas, but it doesn't really commit to any of them. And I think that's because of the length of the game. It feels like it can't commit to these ideas. It feels like every room has a gimmick, and you will never see those gimmicks outside of the one room. For example, guards can see your footprints. Guards can hear you walk on in puddles or on grates. But they're only realistically going to see that 2 or 3 times throughout the game. There's a room where you can't use your weapons, but it's only the one room, and you quickly realize the one ideal path to get through it, to get through it the fastest. So is it really
it's
a challenge?
It's so fast, too. Like, there's no reason to go any other way in that room.
Yeah.
Like, it's just stick to the right, go, like, stick to the wall. You
know what's funny, Phil?
It's easy.
You know what's funny, Phil? It's actually easier to go to left.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. When you said, I thought you just misspoke with directions for a second.
I went to the right every single time.
Yeah. Oh, left, you just have to dodge one guy, and then you can get past it entirely.
I go to the right, sneak by the cameras, and then I hide behind the box so the guy goes the other way.
Yeah, going left. If you rush straight to the elevator going left, you just have to flip the one guy who's on the railing and then call the elevator, and you got it.
You don't even have to do that. You can just get there quick enough.
Yeah. It's
okay.
That's where all the speedrunners go, is they go left and stuff. So yeah, but undeniably, everybody's first time in that room, you go right. And then you learn, you're learning rooms and stuff. There's one room with toxic gas. There's one, there's you do the rappel minigame once. There's one room that's cold. There's one room that's hot.
Like that rappel minigame. Like I know I was being an idiot when I played it like a few years ago on Hype. But I still don't know like how to avoid these things. Like from my inputs, like I'm totally missing these like things of exhaust that are shooting out and hurting you.
Yeah.
But I wasn't avoiding them. I was still getting hit by them. I had like literally a sliver of health with like not using a ration.
I've played this game probably a dozen times. I can't tell you the secret. Speedrunners know how to get through it. I don't. I think it is objectively the worst part of the game is that repelling minigame. It's awful.
Yeah.
Bad. Yeah, there are Claymore mines, but realistically, you're only going to come across them 2 times. And even though there are like 7 or 8 encounters where you could come across them, but realistically, you're only going to see them twice.
If you're clearing rooms, I could see you running into them like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah,
just because like there's a random Claymore mine in I think that first or second elevator room, like and there's like a ration in like the bottom right corner.
Yes, that's what I'm mentioning. Is you're gonna see them in the minefield, obviously.
Yeah,
you might see them right before that first sniper wolf battle, but it's so easy to avoid those. Right. And then in that elevator room, but they are spread throughout the game in multiple areas. Like you can see that like there's like 7 or 8 encounters where you can run into one, but you're likely not going to. And yeah, I just think This game has so many great ideas. It's bursting with creativity, but it doesn't really take advantage of it that well. The story, I think, on paper is good. I think it's fun. It's entertaining. It's that cheesy 80s action movie that it's clearly drawing inspiration from. It is so clearly Escape from New York. It's so, well, obviously with the name Snake. Yeah. It's so clearly Die Hard. It's so clearly like any Arnold Schwarzenegger movie ever. Like, it is 100% those things. But it does try to have maybe a little bit of a deeper conversation with its themes. I don't think it handles them very well. And certainly at the end of the game, it gets super heavy-handed. And you're like, Jesus Christ, these characters aren't even talking like themselves anymore. But I think its intro is phenomenal. I think it's one of the most iconic and just one of the best openings to a video game ever. With the operatic music, the intro, the way that they play with the camera angles, the way they establish the scenario. I think it's really, really like sets the tone and mood very good. And you want to watch that movie. But then you get deeper into the game and you go, okay, yeah, this can only work in video games. And that's why it does work here. So despite all of its issues and its age, I still think if you put in the time to meet it halfway, I think of the older games we've played, certainly the ones that come from the 90s, I think this is the easiest one to get into. I think it's arguably the best one. The only one, I mean, when we get to ranking, the only one that I think is arguably better than it is Final Fantasy VII. But I think that's because Final Fantasy VII has a longer runtime and gives you more time to fall in love with its characters and its gameplay systems and all of that. I think as for a short, super replayable piece of art, I think this one is still a phenomenal game. But it's the issues that it does have do hold it back for me. Like, spoilers, this isn't going to go into the top 5 like on this list. It's just
So conversation on replayability, because you mentioned, Phil, that you would play it again. Tavin, clearly. The entire time I thought to myself, I would never play this game again. And then I beat it. Yeah. And I thought to myself, I'm never going to play this again. It does cool things with the bandana, and I knew it was the infinite bandana, and there's other things you can get, like the stealth camo. But at its core, we've talked about the clunkiness of the gameplay. And it's something, like I said before, that can be, you put it right, met halfway. You can use it to your advantage and get used to it. But even when you do that, I find that the gameplay of Metal Gear Solid, not only 1, but I think 2 and 3, other ones that I touched 2, I played 3 all the way through. It's the beginning of one of the weaker elements of Metal Gear games, which is just the raw gameplay experience. It doesn't feel very satisfying to get into firefights with enemies. It doesn't feel super satisfying to sneak past enemies due to its easiness, at least in this game.
I agree with you here. 2 and 3, I disagree.
I could see that as
well. And we'll have that conversation if and when we get to those games.
But and you're right. Easily it could. But for Metal Gear Solid 1, I can, firmly say that is the case. And when you lack extremely welcoming gameplay feel, I should say, and the narrative isn't really something that you're intending to go through again, the only real reason I would replay this game is to get all the little secrets that the game hides in, and, the hides for you to find. And that's, once again, one of the praises I can give to Metal Gear Solid and Kojima's writing. This game did give me a greater respect for what Kojima not only was able to do from a historic standpoint in terms of video games, with what he did with the graphics and the narrative, despite its weaknesses,
and just the cinematic quality.
Yeah,
I mean, look at what Resident Evil was doing. Look at what Final Fantasy VII was doing, and then compare it to this. Yes. Like, the camera is moving with Snake when he runs across the snowfield. Like, that didn't happen in Final Fantasy VII. No. I'm talking in the cutscenes. Yeah. They had multiple cut camera angles every time the helicopter zoomed past. They were trying to find the best angle and stuff and work with you. They have the epic shots of the helicopter going down and the fire coming up behind him, and Snake says whatever corny line he has about a cremation. It's something like, guess we don't have to worry about a cremation or something. Like, just something corny and stupid. It's just a bunch of stuff that just kind of makes you smile.
Action movie stuff, you're talking about.
How cool is the bit whenever you run into a character in person for the first time, and then their voice actor pops up underneath them?
I love it. I
in,
love
the
it so
character
much.
title. I love it. I think
Yeah.
that's such a cool piece of flair that I love in this game.
Yeah, 100%. And I genuinely like. This is still one of my favorite cast of characters amongst the Metal Gear Solid like saga. Like Sniper Wolf, like you have a certain fondness for. I think she kind of like. I think overall these characters kind of fall flat under a modern lens, but like you can understand why audiences would fall in love with Meryl. Or why they want Snake and Meryl to fall in love. I think them falling in love is ridiculous. Like realistically, that would never happen. But you get why you would want them to go that way. You love how comically evil some of the villains are. You love just how generic and cliche they are. Like like 6 months from now, when we reference this game in other rankings, I'll be able to say imitate Vulcan Raven right now, and you'll be able to do it. You know, like I think that's kind of the beauty of this game, and again, Kojima's ability to think outside of the box in terms of scenario design continues, I think, to be his strongest asset, and I wish he would do it more in the modern era. He doesn't do it so much anymore, and I wish he would. When Psycho Mantis tells you to put the controller on the ground and he's gonna move it with his mind. Is it corny? Yes. Is it cheesy? Yeah, but it makes you kind of smile and laugh, especially if you like, you know, just
it
like
didn't
check.
fucking work.
Huh?
It didn't work.
It didn't work. It worked for me.
Yeah, it
you
did
didn't.
for me.
No.
Yeah. What happened?
I don't know. I even did what he said. I put my controller on my desk and nothing happened.
Really? Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's supposed to vibrate and move. Is what it is. And if you're like a kid playing this for the first time, which was probably the audience that this was intended for, you know. Maybe not like a five-year-old kid, but like, you know, a young teenager or something, like a preteen or something like that. Dude, your mind is getting blown by these things.
It might be. I don't remember if I have it disabled for all controllers, but I remember at some point for a couple of my controllers, I disabled vibration to extend battery life.
Oh, okay, that might have happened then.
That might be it. I don't know.
And again, this game works on the PlayStation 1. You know, the switching your controller to port 2, the reading of the memory card, the mashing of a button. Don't use auto fire or I'll know. You know, them telling, like, just saying, Snake, press the action button. That all works with the charm of PlayStation 1. So you have to remember the console that it was made for, because that's why it is the way it is. And so when we all played it on the Master Collection, which is probably the best way to play it in the modern era. But you know, it's just unfortunate that we can't go back and realistically go bust out a PlayStation 1 and a CRTV and just fucking like just really take ourselves back. But I think the Master Collection does enough fun things to kind of revigorate some of those options. You know, you can go into your options and load up a memory card, and all of the things that Psycho Mantis will say are there, and you can, like, I've put Castlevania and I think Contra or something into my thing. So there's like a 50-50 shot on what he grabs. I think he's grabbed Castlevania every time. But it's just fun to hear him say these things. I think it's really charming.
I mean, that charm, I don't know if Phil will back me up on this, is the same reason why I liked Yakuza 0 so much. Is every single moment, you know, is the narrative that great? No. But you're paying attention.
Yeah.
You know, Yakuza 0, I think, exponentially more. But with Metal Gear Solid, for the first part of the game, you definitely are alongside for the ride the entire way through. I was the entire way through, but I was faltering near the end, and I imagine a lot of other people, clearly with Phil, kind of would, you know, just be like, skip, get over it.
My problem with that comparison is I think Kojima is smart enough to not put his characters in positions to where they cross lines that go against the themes of the game. I've talked about this every time. Kiryu having a line in the sand on killing people, and then putting him in a scenario where he has to shoot down helicopters and blow up cars is a mistake.
Yeah. Hey, but he didn't kill him.
No, he killed him. He killed the fuck out of all of them. And
didn't you watch a Zack Snyder movie? Batman doesn't kill them. The explosions kill them. Come on.
Mm-hmm. You didn't know that?
Kojima is a way better artiste than Zack Snyder. I'm sorry, like he's way better.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, calm down. I wasn't comparing Kojima and Zack Snyder.
No, this is Bill.
Comparing...
This is Tavin getting defensive over his game. You know what? Crazy opinion. I think Kojima's a better visionary. I don't know who else has that opinion. I do though. It's pretty crazy, but I do.
Me personally, this is my personal opinion. Nobody else. I think Kojima is better than Zack Snyder as a creator. You know,
it's a real hot
my
take
opinion.
there. Real hot take. I have.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
And you're right.
Whereas like, and this is an element of Twin Snakes that Twin Snakes gets wrong. Kojima didn't make that. It was an American studio that made that. In Twin Snakes, they give you the tranquilizer gun, and you can get through the entire game without killing anybody. That betrays the theme of Snake is slaughtering these genome soldiers. Like you can't get through the game without killing something like 15, 20 people, which that's a lot of people when you think about it. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, in the video game-ness of it, you could be upwards of 100,
I killed over 100.
I actually didn't. I think I killed, I can't remember my final count. I think I killed less than 50.
Damn.
Yeah, I wanna say I'm in the 30 range. I have to scroll back and find it.
You guys don't have the bloodlust in you. That's
apparently not, Connor. Apparently you're just a
you have to
fucking
kill
monster.
at least 10 of them in that Meryl encounter, right?
You only have to kill 3.
Oh.
Yeah. You can let Meryl kill all the other ones.
Interesting.
Okay. Okay.
So,
I'm totally full of shit. I killed 80 enemies through this playthrough.
Liar, pants on fire.
Yeah, but like to get like the best ranking for the platinum, you have to kill less than like 25.
What ranking did y'all get? Like what animal did y'all get for your playthroughs?
Ooh, do you remember? I got leopard.
What are the options?
I was a hyena.
I couldn't tell you what the options are.
I could find out pretty quickly.
Game level normal, playtime 8 hours 1 minute, saves 6, continues 4, being found 9, enemies 80, rations 32. I imagine I have the quote unquote best stats out of everybody here.
That is probably true. Let me just see real quick. I'm pulling up
it's different depending on
spreadsheet
easy, normal,
that
or hard.
I saw before.
It is different. Your difficulty does change your ranking. Yes.
Oh, I was Falcon.
Oh.
Yeah.
What is that?
Number 2 in normal.
Well, what does that mean? Like, what are the stats to acquire that ranking? It should give you like, anyways, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
All right, real quick. I kind of want to read off real quick. You said Falcon, Tavin, you said leopard, right?
Yes.
All right, so that is killing between 0 and 30 people. That is getting
leopard.
Sorry, no. Leopard is killing between 0 and 8 people.
I killed 80.
What the fuck? Why does it say that? It says.
Are you reading Metal Gear Solid 1 stats?
Oh, this says Twin Snakes.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Is that?
But there's no.
Again, remember in Twin Snakes you have a tranquilizer, so you can get 0 kills in Twin Snakes.
Fair enough.
You can't get 0 kills in this game.
Oh, okay. So hang on, let me.
So, but besides the point, I'm surprised you think the Hind D is the worst fight, because I don't like Sniper Wolf either time.
Oh, Sniper Wolf's not good either.
I don't like Sniper Wolf.
That's where the gameplay really shows its weakness, when you're having to do precise actions. And
I mean, even in 2, they don't do it in. They do it in 3, but it's based on your stamina gauge in 3, which like is easy to keep up.
Way better.
But they do the shaky hands in 2 as well. But it just feels easier to manage. It's smoother aiming because it's on the PS2, and just they're more comfortable with the controls. Yeah, I don't think the sniper doesn't feel great in this game. Arguably, none of the guns feel great to use, but like you can kind of chalk that up to age.
Crazy, Tavin? So I did like unequivocally like better in every single boss fight in this game as opposed to 2021, except maybe the first Sniper Wolf encounter.
That's arguably the hardest one. How did you fight her in round 2?
Easier. It was just
fucking Nikita missile. Come on,
it's Nikita missiles. Yeah, there's like a little cover on the far right, and you can just Nikita missile her to death. Yeah.
I had enough diazepam or whatever it's called. Diazepam?
Diazepam. Yeah.
Diazepam.
I fought her with the sniper rifle this time because I just wanted to have that experience of what does it feel like, and I like it better the second time, but yeah. I mean, it's still like just kind of whatever. I think the tank fight fucking sucks.
It's so easy and quick though that it's just like
I don't find it easy.
First try.
Yeah, I mean, I get it first try now, but like it's always been my most difficult fight. On top of the fact that the difficulty curve is upside down because you have so little health in the beginning of the game, so you're dying faster. And the tank does a lot of damage, so it's only a couple of hits and then you get hit.
I only died once, and it was because of the claymore, and I just like ran over it, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going over this way."
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like yeah. Whereas with the Hind D fight, you throw grenades to those. Yeah, you throw 3 or something like that, and he's dead. 4 maybe.
It depends on where you land it. If you just land it next to him, it only does like 25% damage to the guard. If you can like Kobe it and just dunk it in, and there's like a little sound effect that happens when you dunk it in, and it kills the guy immediately. So you can get it in 2, or you can get it in like 4.
Okay,
well 5.
I think that's what I did 4 then.
Yeah,
but it was just with the Hind fight. It was just like Sniper Wolf mechanically is worse than the Hind fight, but I was able to go in, engage with her, sniper to sniper, and take care of her in about.
I like the spectacle of the Hind D. I think the spectacle of it is super impressive for 1998, especially.
Sure, it is. It's just not now. And
I guess I still think it's cool. It's cool.
It's really more the fact that even with that, if I could give you that, you're just waiting for them to pop up, and then waiting for just a lock-on symbol to happen, and sometimes they go out of your field of view, and then it's like, okay,
you're talking when he goes down and under. Yeah, okay. The waiting for that is like, all right, come on. Like, but the fight itself, I mean, I don't know. It's difficult for me because I have his movement pattern memorized, so like I know exactly where he goes every single time for the entirety of the fight. So like I'm just like, all right, I'm just waiting for it out.
And you hurt him with grenades?
No.
Because you said something about grenades with the Hind fight. Didn't you to Phil? Did you remember that, Phil?
I don't think so.
The Hind fight? No.
Yeah.
I tried to hit him with grenades and it didn't work. I think it might work in Twin Snakes, but I'm not sure. Don't take my word on that because it's been a decade since I've played Twin Snakes.
Okay.
Connor, so hang on real quick. Sorry, I don't mean to like walk back for like a super long conversation, but you said you got Falcon?
Yeah.
So you beat the game in less than 3 hours?
Is that one of the requirements? That couldn't be it. I did not.
He definitely did not.
What fuck?
He spent 3 hours just in the torture room.
Because it says so. Like the normal. This is a different spreadsheet, so it's not from Twin Snakes. It's from Metal Gear Solid 1, and it says Falcon is the rank 2 for normal.
There's no chance. Do you have the picture of it?
See, no, I don't. That's what I'm trying to remember. The thing is I went to Falcon because it was a bird, and that's the only bird on normal.
No, I mean,
are you on Metal Gear Solid 1?
I checked, yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah,
that information will be lost to time.
Because if that's the case, then he ranked better than you, Tavin.
Yeah, I know. That's ridiculous.
What the fuck? I have no clue.
There's no chance he's there. There's no chance he's there.
If that's the case, no.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of boss fights in here that
maybe
I still enjoy.
Bat. I don't know.
There's a lot.
No.
Oh, you may have gotten bad.
No. I'd kill people easily. I didn't die that much.
Well, it says exceeds alerts above 30 and kills above 25 will place you in one of these rankings 8 to 12.
You got bad. You got bad.
Oh, I killed a lot of people.
You got caught a lot.
I didn't get caught a lot, which is why I killed a lot of people.
A lot of people. It's funny because I watched both of you, and both of you fall short in this game in different ways. I would say, like Phil, has bad instincts, where when shit hits the fan, he goes down the wrong path. He makes the wrong choice. He chooses to fight at bad times. You have no instinct. And you're just like, all right, I'm caught. I'm going to sit right here and I guess just shoot guys.
Last stand.
And it's like, Connor, you're just going to infinitely shoot guys until you run out of ammo or die or both, So
I at least have a reaction.
Yeah, Phil's like, okay, let me go and hide. But his version of go and hide is just going around the corner. And it's just like, well, that's not a hiding spot, Phil.
You got to meet your enemies head on. That's how you fight them.
Not in this game.
Not in this game. This is not an action game.
This is not an action game, even though it's tactical espionage action, But, it's action-y. It's action-y. I think a lot of these boss fights are still fun. I think fights like Gray Fox and Liquid Snake are very much bait and punish, which still, like, that's just an easy, like, design concept for boss fights to just, like, be like, all right, I got this. Everyone after that, all these fights are based on gimmicks, and so it's just of how much you appreciate the gimmick of it. I think the straight-up gunfight of Ocelot is fun, easy to manipulate and easy to get around. The Raven fight, which encourages you to start using, it's like a cat and mouse type fight, which is enjoyable, coming from this era of design, which is, super simple of like,
fun fight.
Well, let me try some C4. Let me try some Claymores. Let me try Nikita missiles and stuff. Knowing what I know now, you can just spam Nikita missiles as soon as the fight starts and beat him really, really easily. But, like that takes a level of effort to just get to that point.
And know-how.
Yeah.
I'm very proud to say that, like, I was able to beat every single boss within 2 tries.
Nice.
Damn.
Nice. Not the case the first time.
No. Very far from the case.
Very far from the case the first time. And then having a mecha fight with the scale that it has, with the camera angles that are used in this game, having 2 phases of Metal Gear Rex that work, you can maybe find them a little clunky or simple or overly difficult if you can't wrap your head around it and in what the game wants you to do.
By that point, you can. That's kind of. I'm sorry to interrupt your point.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
That's kind of is one of the qualities this game has, where your experience builds upon your ability to know things. Because you would question me with the Metal Gear fight. When you first start out, you have to confuse his targeting system. Otherwise, he just pegs you every single time. Chaff grenades. That one's easy. But then he opens up the hatch, and he's harder to aim. It's easier to dodge it. So you think that's all you have to do, but if you do the flash grenade, it blinds him and he can't hit you, as if you did the chaff grenade while he's still using the targeting. And you only know that based off going through the game and using these things and knowing the range these things kind of have to know that that would work. You can even go to another example, crawling to avoid claymores. I had known this before, but it was this. My point still stands. It completely alleviates your need to get a certain item and just go through the game being super stealth action hero. The
You're talking about the mine detector?
What?
No, he's just talking. If you crawl on the ground, you pick up claymores.
And you avoid. You don't get blown up.
Right, but you're talking about it alleviates your need to get an item. Like, what do you
the minesweeper.
Yeah.
Like
you can either go and get the mine detector, or you can negate it,
and
or
that's what I was saying. It alleviates your need to go and find the mine detector.
Gotcha. Or the claymores themselves, picking them up, obviously it eliminates your hunger for wanting to get them.
Yeah,
gotcha. I get you.
And you'll find this especially in the first 3 to 4 games, where there's a bunch of moments in the games where you go, hey, but did you know this? And you'll go, oh shit, I didn't know that. That's cool. Like if you crawl on the ground, you pick up the claymores. That's a good example of it. If you use the cigarettes, you can detect the lasers and stuff like that. Hey guys, if you run with a grenade equipped, you run faster.
There you go, speedrunner.
What speed? It's a speedrun tactic, at least for this game. If you have the grenade out, you run faster. It's not super noticeable, but for speedrunning tactics, I think they just timed. I think it's a mistake. I don't think it's an actual thing that they put in. If you the grates that you run on that make noise, if you are spamming equip and unequip with the quick equip with the right bumper, you just kind of skate. The animation is just Snake kind of skating along with just his leg up like that. It negates the sound. So you can, whenever you need to run across grates and there's bad guys in the area, spam equip and unequip, and you can run up right behind them and take care of business that way.
Does that work for puddles too, you think?
I believe it works the same for puddles as well. Yeah. But again, there's 2 puddles in the game. So, and they're both in the first 10 minutes. So, whatever. There's just a bunch of little tips and tricks like that are really cool when you find them out. Like spamming Vulcan Raven with Nikita missiles, the hitting Sniper Wolf with Nikita missiles in round 2. It's all really cool shit that you can put together. I guarantee you, 90% of players did not get the catch-up trick correct when escaping the torture room. I did it the first time.
I did it the second time though.
Yeah, exactly. Your first time through, you're either A, gonna mess it up, 2, not gonna figure it out, or 3, luck out and get it, But on your second, third, fourth playthrough, you're going to nail it. And it's going to feel really funny and really cool. And just the fact that that's an option is really funny and really cool. The game rewards you for creative thinking with some parameters on it, partially because of its age. As we get deeper into the series, it rewards you more and more for creativity, the exception of maybe like 4 and Peace Walker. And then I don't know, man. I think this game is really creative, especially for the time. I think it constantly tries to think outside the box. I think it's one of the most ambitious video games ever made. And I think for more often than not, it hits the mark. But when it doesn't hit the mark, especially on a first-time playthrough, I can understand frustration.
Boys, good review.
Indeed.
57 minutes, around.
Oh, shit, and we're not even done. All right, let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, as we play through each game and review it for your enjoyment, we rank it amongst the other games that we've played in the series. And the list stands as of right now, the list stands. There are 23 entries on the list.
Soon to be 24.
Indeed. Number 23, Fable. Number 22, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Number 21, Prey. Number 20, Tomb Raider. Number 19, Batman Arkham Asylum. Number 18, Uncharted 1. Number 17, Halo Combat Evolved. Number 16, Shadow of the Colossus. Number 15, Mario 64. Number 14, Resident Evil 4. Number 13, Portal. Number 12, Pokemon Soul Silver. Number 11, Severed. Number 10, Resident Evil 1 HD. Number 9, Chrono Trigger. Number 8, Dishonored. Number 7, Shovel Knight. Number 6, Portal 2. Number 5, Yakuza 0. Number 4, Hades. Number 3, Final Fantasy 7. Number 2, The Last of Us. And number 1, God of War Ragnarok.
Tavin, go first. You're the guy who played it.
I would like to go first. You know what? Fuck it. I will go first.
Make your claim.
Guys, I'm a huge fan of Metal Gear Solid 1. I'm a huge fan of Metal Gear Solid in general. I think this game is genuinely great and really fun to still play. But I can't deny its shortcomings. It's got some shortcomings in there, and they can be pretty severe. I think this game does reward multiple playthroughs. I think this game is fun to replay and play again all the time. No, but there is an itch to be scratched when you play this game. I think its atmosphere is phenomenal. I think its presentation is elite. And I think it's groundbreaking and innovative in a lot of really great ways, to where it is shooting up pretty high on the list, but we've undeniably played better games than this on this list. And there are just video games here that undeniably are just better quality video games. And that is, 1, because they came a lot later, 2, because of just they don't trip up in the same ways that this first game trips up. And there's a number of things that we've talked about throughout this review. The writing's not phenomenal. The gameplay is kind of clunky. It's hard to first engage with this game. As you get used to it and figure out the language of it, it does become satisfying to play, but that's in later hours or on a replay. But on a first time through, it is frustrating in the opening hours, undeniably. However, I think it does enough. I think it's just as fun. I think it's just as it's got just as much of a cool story and great characters, to where I still think this lands pretty high for me. I'm gonna put this at the new number 8, above Dishonored, below Shovel Knight. I'm in a place right now where I don't know why we voted Dishonored so high. And I kind of wish we had put it at least below Resident Evil 1. But this is what it is.
It's good.
And, we can't change it. But I think Shovel Knight and Up are undeniable masterpieces, and I think they are all still super playable today. I think the conversation of this game versus Final Fantasy VII is an interesting one. But overall, I do think Final Fantasy VII is a better, more impactful, and just overall more interesting game than Metal Gear Solid 1 is. And you can really sink your teeth into it a lot more than you can here. 1, because of its runtime. 2, because its gameplay is... its gameplay carries the experience the whole way through, whereas Metal Gear Solid gameplay only carries it through the first playthrough, and it's so short that, hour 12, 13, 14, 15, you'd get kind of fed up with the gameplay of this game, undeniably. But I think they keep the length of the game to match the gameplay of it. And so I think Final Fantasy VII is still a better game than that. So yeah, I would lock in number 8 above Dishonored, below Shovel Knight. I want to move to Phil next. Phil, if you can, if you still remember when I said we were going to play this game, if you can tell us where you expected to vote and then where you are voting, if possible.
Yeah, okay, I can do that. So where I expected this to fall originally, just kind of looking at this here. See, I really wish I had known you were going to ask this before.
Yeah, I
didn't really have a thought of where I would have put this before playing it.
From what it sounds like, you were down on it.
I definitely was. So let me. I probably would have put it at like the new. Probably like the new 17.
That's almost exactly where I thought he was gonna. It was just a matter of would he have put it above or below Halo? Is where I was thinking.
I probably would have put it above 17. Or like at the new 17 rather.
Yeah.
Replace.
Now I would probably put this at the new number 7, jump like a whole like 10 places above.
Holy shit!
Damn,
that's insane.
So above Shovel Knight, below Portal 2.
Buddy, go replay Shovel Knight. What the fuck is wrong? Shovel Knight is so your bag. How are you like this down on Shovel Knight?
It's not even that I don't like Shovel Knight. It's that it's just not as good as you say it is.
Oh my god, this is insanity.
Higher than you thought it would be. You were worrying about it being low.
I'm comparing because my game that I think is too high is obviously Yakuza 0, and I'm debating in my head of if I would put this above Yakuza 0 if it was lower. If Yakuza was where I would want it, where would I? Which is at number 8, above Dishonored, below Shovel Knight. Where would I put Metal Gear? And I still, you know what? I think Yakuza wins this argument. I think Yakuza is more fun. I think its gameplay is more interesting. I think its mini games are more entertaining and stuff. So I would still probably say Yakuza 0 is a better game.
Yeah.
You know, if the list was where I want it. Connor, where are you at, my friend?
I'll be ranking the lowest. I can say that with certainty. Really, it was a debate on whether it was going to be going at the new number 11 or the new number 10. And I think, or the new number 12, I should say, rather than the,
Okay, so it's in that. Is it going above or below Resident Evil / Severed?
The Resident Evil was the barrier ultimately. You know, I messed with Severed a little bit because the gameplay experience of Severed is just so fun and addicting and easy to pick up and do. But Metal Gear Solid is so rich with the stuff you can do in it and the interesting experience, the quirky experience that it offers. But I think when you start considering Resident Evil, which shares some pretty heavy similarities, you know, they're ones that are in a pretty an isolated area map that you get a lot of mileage out of. But when it comes to it, Resident Evil, the mansion is more fun to explore, and the unveiling of the mansion is more interesting when you get it through the interesting puzzles the game offers and not having to switch and equip an inventory card to pass through doors all the time.
The door card thing is a little archaic, or super archaic.
Gets tiring after a while. But it's even the gameplay. You know, Resident Evil as a survival horror game makes every situation tense. Turning around corners, entering new rooms, and that combined with the iconic atmosphere and tone of Resident Evil really just overrides any of the interesting narrative decisions that Metal Gear Solid 1 does. And it's also a game I think has more replayability with 2 different characters entirely that go through different scenarios and things are different. Whereas as Metal Gear Solid, you know,
there's also fun different game modes and stuff.
Yeah, so it just has more replayability in that sense. And so for those reasons, I can't put it above Resident Evil. That was the barrier that beat it. It seems to be the case that happens a lot when I'm considering these games. Resident Evil is a good, guardian at the gate before.
I think Resident Evil is a tier switch.
Yeah,
from like B to A.
Yeah,
you know, and that's when like the A tier is going on and so forth. It's an interesting conversation, Metal Gear to Resident Evil. I love both of them. I just think. I think Metal Gear holds up better. man. Like, especially because we're going with a more archaic version of Metal Gear versus an updated version of Resident Evil. They polished the mistakes of the original game in the version we played. If we played the original game, I think undeniably Resident Evil 1 is a lesser game than Metal Gear Solid 1.
Yeah.
But because we played the remake, there's an argument there.
The standard for, I think, the game nowadays.
Yeah, you know? So it's a tricky one. And that one's I don't think I would ever put Resident Evil 1 above Metal Gear Solid 1, but when we break down each individual element of the game, some of them are coin tosses. When you talk about the tension and the entering each room and the difficulty of them, yeah, that's a coin toss of which one I like more, just dependent upon the day that you catch me on. But I think narratively, like presentation-wise, what they're doing cinematically in this game, voice acting, just the story as a whole, fucking shits on Resident Evil so fucking hard.
True.
Like, it's not even a conversation.
But when it comes to the game as a whole, moment to moment, Resident Evil is a better game than I say that Metal Gear Solid 1. Yeah, I can't see that as being, not the case.
I would probably agree with you. But I don't think it's a huge gap between the two. I enjoyed the challenge of Resident Evil more than the challenge of Metal Gear Solid 1. And I think this game is easy. Like, and so like, whereas Resident Evil, there's a challenge to it undeniably. So, it's just a matter of that. And then also, I will eventually replay Resident Evil 1. And when I do, I'll know more about it and more about it. Like, I'll know it like the back of my hand, like I know this game, like I know Resident Evil 2 Remake. And a bunch of other games like that where I know them like the back of my hand. So then my experience with Resident Evil 1 will change when I get to that point, but I'm not there today. And even when I do get there, I still think Metal Gear Solid 1 is a overall better game. But that's just for the point of the conversation. That leaves the votes at Metal Gear Solid 1 being the new number 8, going above Dishonored but below Shovel Knight, which is a good time. I'm happy with that placement. You're probably not.
No.
It is, but
honestly, there's an argument to be made for Chrono Trigger, but I think Dishonored definitively is a better game from top to bottom in every single way, except narrative. But that's not. Not so close.
I disagree so much. I think Dishonored is when shit pops off in Dishonored. I think the gameplay loop falls apart. Like, I think it's objectively, I think active combat in that game, I think is bad. It's just the creativity in which you engage in each combat scenario is entertaining and engaging. But it falls short in so many other ways in comparison to this one, especially if you I don't want to say grading on a curve, but if you put yourself in the mindset of 1998 when playing this game. If you played this game at release and then lived long enough to play Dishonored at release, I still think Metal Gear Solid 1 is a more impressive video game. It will have impressed you more in 98 than Dishonored would have in 2012.
Which I think is kind of an unfair comparison to make, considering you're making someone who's at the time would be experiencing a change in the industry, as opposed to then going in the forward.
But I can flip that, and it's unfair to compare the two games and give Dishonored more credit in 2012. And then going back to 98, that's an unfair comparison because this game doesn't have the opportunities. These are two console generations apart in a time where each console generation jump mattered.
And you see, that goes back to our Mario 64 conversation of how important is, when you're talking about one of the best games, is the history of it. I mean, your argument fully, valid.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter to not only most people, but in just kind of a general rule. After a certain point, you can only be in that mindset so long until you say, I don't really care. This new game plays better, and I jump at it before I would Metal Gear Solid.
That's fine. That's fine. But my perspective of this show and us doing a podcast at all is to have an educated conversation about these games. And so doing this game that disservice of just going, old game old, is an uneducated way to have the conversation.
It is, if it comes to, trying to use that as a way to just beat down what the game has to offer.
Yeah.
To bring up something else.
And let me be clear. I'm not saying that's what you're doing. Yeah. I think your example is the majority of people. Mm-hmm. Yes. But I think the majority of people are uneducated when they talk about anything when it comes to any medium. If you don't do your homework, if you don't do your history, then you're not going to see the influence and why these things are the way they are. I mean, but again, I'm not letting influence overtake the whole conversation. Mario 64 is leagues under Dishonored, and Mario 64 is undeniably one of the most important video games of all time.
It's more important than any game on this list. Looking at it. The biggest competition is now Metal Gear, but even then, I don't think it beats it.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
What were you debating?
Metal Gear, Final Fantasy VII, and The Last of Us. I think those are arguably just as important, but I think what Mario does is more important because without Mario 64, we never leave the 2D era. Mm-hmm. That's important. So, anyways, Phil, anything else to say about ranking before we get into wheel selection?
No, let's spin the wheel.
Let's spin the
game of the month.
So here we go. We got it going right here. Let me make sure we have.
So to repeat it, just so I can have it in my own list,
yeah,
above Dishonored.
Above Dishonored, yes. Above Dishonored, below Shovel Knight at the new number 8. Now, gentlemen, this is a wheel month. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, when we started this show, well, we were just picking games at random. But eventually, when we brought Phil in, we brought the picker wheel in, and we had the wheel decide what we play for the next month. We decided at the beginning of this year that we wanted a little bit more agency in what we're playing. So we alternate now. One month is one of us. The next month is the wheel. Month 3 is a different one of us. So we go in a rotation. This last month was my choice. That's why we played Metal Gear Solid. So now we are back to the spinner wheel. And, of course, we still get a little bit of agency in what not to play this month. So we each get a veto to take out of the running for this month when the wheel gets spun. But we cannot repeat what we chose last month. So last month, we decided Alien Isolation was out, so it must go into the list. We decided Sonic Adventure went out, so now it must stay in. And Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII was taken out, so now it must stay in. Gentlemen, it's a fairly empty month.
Kevin, you're a little off camera. You're a little two camera left.
Bam. Oh, damn it! What the fuck? I was right earlier. I must be sitting in a different position. I've definitely. Thank you for the heads up there, Phil. I never.
Yeah, I was popping in on the stream, even though I can only see the wheel from Discord, but on Twitch I can see.
There we go. Perfect. All right. So we have a bit of an empty month this month, with the exception of Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erd Tree. But that comes in a little later, the 22nd,
21st.
Something like that, 20-something. So we have some time before we have to worry about any game. Gentlemen, I'm going to do something that I don't think we've ever done. I don't feel the need to take anything out of the list this week or this month.
I do.
I'm totally okay. I'm totally okay with everything in there. So I'm actually going to say I don't want to take anything out. Phil, you're ready to go, obviously. Where are you looking for?
Fable 2.
Fable 2. Thank fucking God. Oh, my God. Actually, I agree with that. So thank you.
And you know what? Every single time he decides, because you do the thing every now and then. This isn't the only time you've done it where you said, you know what? No game elimination.
Is this not the only time I've done it?
No,
to my knowledge, it's the first time.
You've done it once before.
Maybe only once before, but yeah.
With Phil, he put on Sonic 06. Like, fuck, I feel a little bit of
Sonic Adventure, not Sonic
Adventure.
Ooh, different games.
Right? I feel a little anger rise anytime he cancels out a game.
The Sonic fans defend Sonic Adventure. And that's what drives me crazy. Yeah, they do not defend Sonic 06.
Because it is an empty month for me, I would like to keep in long games this time around. And there was a game on this list I know I do not want to play, and that is Senua's Saga: The Sacrifice. I have played 2 of those games in the span of a month, less than a month. I'm
That'd
fine
be
for a while.
Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Yes.
Senua's Sacrifice. Yeah, it's
Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
ever since the second one that throws me off.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that. That was
Yeah.
such a poor naming convention. So there we go. Fable 2 and Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice have been eliminated from the list. You know what, boys? I'm kind of glad you did both of those, but you know, I'm going to stick to my decision of not taking anything out. You know what would be nice this week?
What?
Or this month? Mass Effect.
We said that.
That'd be nice. I'd like some Mass Effect. I'd like some Ratchet and Clank.
Games I would have chosen if I didn't choose Metal Gear. You mean?
Fuck it, Connor. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. I would enjoy
Honestly,
that one.
I would take Mass Effect over Ratchet right now. It's
really?
been too soon since I played Ratchet.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
first game
down
anyway.
for whatever. I'm ready to play something new.
You guys
I'm
are
ready to
jinxing
play
yourself.
something old. I'm just ready to play.
You're
You know?
jinxing yourself, guys.
I'm excited. Watch it be Sonic Adventure.
There's always.
Let me be clear. If I could take Sonic Adventure out, I probably would. But I can't. So here we are. Let's get ahead and get this wheel a spinning and find out what we're playing
Apprehension
for
every
the
single
month of
week.
June. And then, of course, we will see you.
Dead
Cells!
Okay.
Dead Cells. all right.
Okay. I'm into it. Let's do it. Let's play some Dead Cells. Let's enjoy ourselves and have a good time.
Roguelike.
With some Dead Cells. I'm moderately interested in playing that again and some more. Yeah, I'm just gonna download it on Switch again because I'm a little broke right now, so I'm not gonna buy it again. So no trophies for me today, but it is what it is. So of course, ladies and gentlemen, that is our edition of. Let me get this off the screen. There we go. That is our edition of the video the 2 Penny Game Club. That's what it's fucking called. For the month of June. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Let us know down in the comments below how you feel about Metal Gear Solid 1, where it should have ranked on the list, and make sure you put down suggestions to add to the wheel next month, and I will look around and try and add any ones that I see that aren't in there, of course. Play along with us. We're playing Dead Cells this next month. Very, very interested to see where that's going to land on this list. And make sure you like, subscribe, and comment for more. Until next time, have a great time. And gentlemen, say goodbye to the people.
Bye.
Please.
Bye.